Hello, viewers. My name is Jared, and I'm here to host another reading. This time we are reading Saving Mr. Banks from 2013. And we have our cast here. Logan, who will be reading our scene description and reading as Walt Disney. Jen, who will be reading as Pamela and Ginty. Eric will be reading as Travers. Paul will be Dick Sherman, Richard Sherman. I'll be Robert Sherman, Bob. Johnny will be reading as Don DeGrati, and Travis is kind of our ensemble today. We'll all be playing different roles, but Travis will be like Margaret and a couple others. So. Excellent. So here we go, Saving Mr. Banks.
Saving Mr. Banks, original screenplay by Kelly Marcel and Sue Smith. Exterior, Maryborough Park, Australia, day 1906. Over black. Music, string violins treat us to a familiar song opening, and then a voice, male.
Winds in the east, mist coming in.
Fade in. A whoosh of wind spins us around in the blue sky, spinning, spinning until we slow to a stop and find ourselves amongst white, fluffy clouds. A shadow, oddly shaped like an umbrella, dances amongst the nimbus.
Like something is brewing, about to begin.
The shadow's direction becomes purposeful, taking us down through the clouds, whipping us on the wind towards a small town in the distance.
Can't put me finger on what lies in store.
Downwards and downwards until it skittishly circles a large, bustling park and then swoops us into the lavish gardens. There, a 10-year-old girl plays in the lush grass. She puts the finishing touches on a miniature version of a large park she sits in. Benches made from twigs, trees from flowers, picnic cups from acorns, and gives a satisfied nod. She wraps her arms tightly around her chest, lifts her face to the sky, a half smile threatening to break across her concentrated face. This is the young P.L. Travers, who you will also know as Ginty.
But I fear what's still happen, all happened before.
Her little brow is furrowed with imagination, and then, all of a sudden, a smile breaks free as something in her mind becomes real. Interior Shawfield Street, Pamela's office, London, morning, 1961. P.L. Travers sits in her rocking chair in the same position as above, arms clasped tightly against her body, face to the sky. Older, beautiful, striking blue eyes, and an air of stiff and steely determination. Her office is a canvas of a life well lived. Buddha smiles from every corner, framed poetry and letters adorn the walls alongside pictures of Pamela throughout the years, with men we will not come to know, and everywhere, China hens sit on shelves, their wings clasped to their chests, brooding. Despite the multitude of objects, the room is peaceful, white. Downstairs, the doorbell rings. Pamela closes her eyes and breathes. It rings again. Pamela shakes her head. Tuts. She stands up, smooths down her skirt with flat palms, breathes. Interior Sheffield Street, downstairs hallway, morning. Pamela opens the front door and squints as a flood of sunlight and cherry blossom petals float over the threshold. Diamond Russell, 45, bright, youthful, waits to be asked inside. Pamela is not pleased to see him.
Mrs. Travers.
Interior Pamela's living room, morning. Pamela and Diamond sit in silence. Diamond looks at her. She looks out the window.
You're ready to...
Like pink clouds on sticks.
Excuse me?
The cherry blossoms. I was trying to think what they reminded me of.
Diamond looks at his watch.
The car should be here. May I use...
I canceled it.
You... What? Pamela?
Mrs. Travers.
Mrs. Travers, please. Why would you cancel the car?
I shan't be going.
Diamond buries his face in his hands.
Oh, we've been through this.
I've changed my mind.
You can't.
With all due respect, Mr. Russell, I am on very good terms with my own faculty and exceedingly confident in its decision-making capabilities.
Diamond's shoulders visibly sag. He lets out a long, frustrated breath.
You made an agreement. Do you understand? A verbal agreement.
Why in the world are you speaking to me as if I am a neonate?
Oh, he'll
what? Sue? He is most welcome to every penny I don't have.
Look, I've represented you for a long time. I like to think of you as a friend.
Pamela snorts.
I like to think of it, believe me. I know it's not reciprocated. I would never suggest you do something that would cause you anguish, but there's no more money, Pamela, Mrs. Travers. Simply no more. Sales have dried up. No more royalties. You refused to write further books, so do you understand? I'm frightened that you don't understand what that means.
Pamela looks out the window, the cherry blossom, her focus.
I know what he's going to do to her. She'll be cavorting and twinkling, careening towards a happy ending like a kamikaze.
We've been trying to do this deal for 20 years. He's agreed to both of your stipulations. No animations, script approval.
Use her to pay my bills? If I believed in a hell, I'd be sitting in its waiting room.
Script approval. He's never granted anything like that before. I don't know what else to do.
He looks around.
Where's Polly?
I fired her.
Damon shakes his head, sighs.
It's just as well. It seems I can't afford her anymore anyway.
Pamela looks to the ceiling and breathes.
You don't know how much she means to me.
Polly?
Of course not, Polly.
Pamela huffs, digs her heels into the rug.
Los Angeles.
You have only to go there and work for 2 weeks. Collaborate. That's it. You haven't signed the rights over yet.
Yet?
You must make it work, Mrs. Travers.
Oh, I must. Must I?
You need the money. I don't want to see you.
Stop saying money. It's a filthy, disgusting word.
I am picking up the telephone, Mrs. Travers.
Damon gets up.
I have final say.
You do.
I have final say. And if I don't like what they are doing to her?
You don't sign the papers. He cannot make the film unless you grant the rights. It's an exploratory trip.
Pamela looks at the cherry blossoms again. A piece floats away from the tree and sticks to her living room window.
What did you say?
I want to keep my house.
Exterior Maryborough Park, day. A large hand taps Ginty on the shoulder. She looks up and smiles. Travers Goff, 35, is handsome and rugged, a wild, poetic look like Ted Hughes or Dylan Thomas.
Excuse me, ma'am. Have you seen my daughter? I was quite sure I had left her around here somewhere.
Ginty giggles.
Her name is Helen. Oh, Shirley. Goodness. I've quite forgotten. Could it be Prunella?
No!
Pamela?
No.
It still doesn't sound quite, I'm sure I have a special name for her.
Ginty!
Why, thank you, ma'am. Ginty it is, of course. Now, have you seen her?
It's me!
Travers puts his nose right up to hers, peering into her face.
Gosh, so it is. Well, thank goodness for that. I was positive I was going to be beheaded for losing Her Highness, our Royal Princess Ginty McFeatherfolly.
Yes, Fluffy. You can't lose me!
Never, I promise. I will never lose you.
He swings her up onto his shoulders and gallops off through the park, neighing like a horse.
Hurry now, we mustn't be late. Our adventure is about to begin.
Interior plain, day. Pamela is hot and bothered, trying to wrestle a bulging carpet bag into the overhead locker.
Can I help you?
I'm perfectly capable, thank you.
The flight attendant tries to help anyway.
They've used all this space, so greedy.
She glares at the people around her.
I'll take it, madam. I can put it up here.
I don't want it up there. I want it here, in the corresponding holding area for my assigned seat.
The flight's closing in just a few moments, ma'am. I'll have to take it.
Pamela narrows her eyes as the attendant, as if to say, I dare you. A woman with an infant stands up.
You can put my bag up front instead.
The flight attendant smiles thankfully and replaces the woman's bag with Pamela's.
Will the child be a nuisance? It's an 11-hour flight.
No,
Jolly good.
Pamela gives her a watery smile and takes the seat next to the window. She looks out at the tarmac. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, opens her eyes again, and tucks her feet tidily together. She folds her hands neatly into her lap and looks straight ahead.
I hope we crash.
The passenger across the aisle hears her, horrified. Exterior Goff residence, Maryborough, day, 1906. Biddy, 3, and Margaret, the girl's mother, delicate, weak, stand outside of their lavish red-bricked home. Suitcases bulge at their feet. Margaret breathes a sigh of relief as she sees Travers hurrying towards them. He swings Ginty from his shoulders and plops her on the ground.
Damn it, Mom.
I said the carriage.
Who needs a carriage, my love? My sword is a gift. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Yep.
Margaret takes her youngest child, Moya, 1, from the nanny.
Come along, my team. We mustn't miss the train.
Thank you so much for everything.
See you soon, Katie Nana.
She picks up her own case. Katie Nana turns away, heartbroken.
The walking bus.
The family gets into line, one behind the other. Travers is in the lead.
Don't forget Andrew.
Ginty takes Andrew's leash, her own case, and somehow helps her sister too.
Ready? And off we go.
Passerbys tut and shake their heads at the noisy display as Travers and the girls march down the street.
Left, right, come through.
Margaret stays for a beat, longingly taking in and storing a picture of the home she leaves behind. Exterior downtown Maryborough day. The procession continues into the bustling downtown. Exterior train station day. It's hectic as tickets are purchased and a clerk marks a chalkboard with destinations and mileage. Ginty stops, looks at the list. The last city is?
Alora.
Exterior countryside day. The Great Western Queensland train chugs on its way westward from the verdant green of Maryborough towards the brown cake of Alora. Exterior angle on Maryborough day. As it disappears, Ginty stands at the last train platform, watching her home, her past, fade into the distance. Ginty's face speaks resignation as it and the train recede as billowing white smoke and dust fill the frame. Interior plain day. Pamela jolts in her seat, her eyes flit open. She's disturbed by her dreams, so she flicks her hand in front of her face as if somehow swatting the memories away. She sighs loudly and digs her heel into the carpet of the plane. Interior LAX arrivals day. A bleary-eyed Pamela carries her 2 bags into the arrivals area. She's immediately hit by dazzling sunlight and a sea of signs bearing the names of various passengers and companies. She scans Paramount, Warner Brothers, MGM, finally falling on her own name. P.L. Travers, underneath, Walt Disney Presents.
Oh, does he indeed?
She approaches the uniformed driver, Ralph, Mickey Mouse on his lapel, who bursts into a beaming smile.
Travers? P.L. Travers?
Mrs.
Welcome, Mrs. P.L. Travers. Welcome to the City of Angels.
Pamela sneers. He grabs her bags.
Let me take those.
I'm perfectly capable of... Oh, never mind.
Ralph ushers Pamela through the doors and into the sunlight.
Son, came out just to say hello to you.
Don't be preposterous.
Jasmine sniffs the air.
It smells like... And I think you called me Jasmine. Chlorine and sweat.
Ralph chuckles.
It's dreadful.
Exterior limousine day. The shiny black tinted windowed limo cruises up La Cienega Boulevard, passing all kinds of monstrous architecture and garish billboard advertising. Interior limousine day. Pamela is diminutive in the back seat of the sprawling car. She eyes the champagne on ice, the flutes clinking in the in-car bar.
Absurd.
Ralph looks at her in the rear view.
You okay back there, Miss P.L. Travers?
It's not Mrs. P.L. It's just Mrs. Oh, it's so hot.
Oh, no problemo. We got a brand new air conditioning system, Mrs. Cool you down right in no time. Just about make you feel like you're good old England again. Things they can't put in cars these days. Gosh almighty.
Pamela presses her finger to her temples. She looks around, finds a button, pushes it, and the screen rises between the passenger and the driver, miraculously relieving her of Ralph's natter.
No problemo.
Exterior Beverly Hills Hotel day. With its pink facade and flag-flying turrets, the hotel resembles a candy castle simmering under the midday sun. The limo glides into the forecourt. Interior suite, Beverly Hills Hotel day. A porter opens the door to Pamela's suite and places her belongings on a luggage stand in the hallway.
Would you like me to unpack for you, ma'am?
Unpack?
To take your items from their cases and hang them in the wardrobe, ma'am.
Young man, if it is your wish to handle ladies' garments, I suggest you take employment in a laundromat.
Porter has no idea what to say, so he hovers at the door.
Yes?
His eyes flick to his empty palm and back to Pamela. She closes the door on him.
Odd.
She turns and for the first time takes in
Oh my.
the ludicrous suite she has been assigned. It is opulent beyond imagination, but its classy decor has been rather diminished by an array of Disney gifts splattered across every surface of the room.
Oh no. No, no.
Disney flowers, Disney champagne, Disney exotic fruit baskets, Disney chocolates, Disney posters, Cuddly Donald, Pluto, and mini toys. And, taking up the entire bed, the biggest stuffed Mickey Mouse imaginable. Imagine it. Nope. Bigger. Pamela cannot contain her horror. She stares at it in disgust for a moment, and then her eyes fall upon 3 pairs in the fruit basket. She stops still for a second before rushing over and picking them out. She turns them over in her hands before an enormous wave of panic washes over her.
This won't do.
She throws open the balcony doors for fresh air and is greeted with dry air and heat, dust, dazzling sunlight. Exterior Goff House, Allura, day. Air and heat, dazzling sunlight. Travers, Margaret, and the children climb, stand in a line on the top of the pathway. From their perspective, all there is to see is a cloud of swirling red dust. It obscures and then gradually reveals their new home. The surrounding land, yellow and burnt, unlike the lush greens of Maryborough, the house is ramshackle and meager. A swayback white nag wanders near a solitary tree, and a few skinny chickens strut around the porch.
Pass, complete with mighty steed.
And chickens!
Oh.
Travers puts an arm around her shoulders.
Builds beautiful memories here, my angel.
Margaret offers him a trusting smile.
Yes?
Travers takes Ginty and Biddy's hands, and they run towards their new home. The chickens scatter.
In this house, you get to share a bedroom.
Margaret looks at the surrounding area. There's simply nothing but barren land and red dust for miles. Exterior Beverly Hills Hotel pool, day. Underwater, sploosh. A green bomb disturbs the tranquil surface, and then another sploosh. We rise through the water to see Pamela on her balcony throwing the pairs, one by one, into the swimmer-free swimming pool. Interior Beverly Hills Hotel suite, continuous.
Good riddance.
She breathes a sigh of relief and closes the balcony doors.
Well, first things first.
She gathers up the Disney paraphernalia and shoves it all in the closet. She picks up her bag and goes through to the bedroom, where the biggest stuffed Mickey Mouse imaginable takes up the entire bed. Imagine it. Nope. Still bigger. Pamela drops her bags. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, good lord.
Pamela drops her bags, grabs Mickey, and places him on the floor, facing the wall.
And you can stay there until you learn the art of subtlety.
Pamela opens her carpet bag and begins to unpack. She takes from it a bottle of pills, which she places on her nightstand, followed by another bottle, and another, and another. The potions keep coming, as do the creams and books and makeup. The bag is endless. Things, and more things come streaming out of it. And once the nightstand is full, she uses the windowsills and any other available surface in her for her miniature Buddhas. Finally, she takes out an impossibly large framed picture of herself. She holds it up, admires it, takes down the existing painting, and replaces it with her own image.
There.
Pamela is restless. She looks around the room, stands in front of the full-length mirror, and admires herself. She turns her face slightly to catch her best angle. She leans forward and explores the contours of her face, surprisingly unlined for a woman of her years. She smiles, full of vanity.
Well, yes. Well, no. I don't suppose I do mind.
She laughs, but Pamela finds joy difficult, so it comes out as an ugly snort.
Now, really. Flatterer. Silly girl.
She turns her attention away from the mirror and picks up the remote control, staring at her in her bemusement. She looks out at the television, hitting random buttons until suddenly the TV bursts into life.
Oh!
She clicks again. The TV goes off again, and it's on. A housewife advertises dish soap with glee, as if the dish soap is the greatest thing ever invented.
Soap for the brains.
She changes the channel and stares blankly at a man on a black and white screen. There's a moment before she realizes that staring back at her is the face of the charming, mustache, kindly face of Walter Elias Disney, 58, in the Wonderful World of Disney show. Pamela raises an eyebrow.
Well, well, there you are.
TV screen. Walt is ringing a little bell with no sound coming out. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with your television set. This is a Pixie Bell. The sound is much too high for human ears. Tinkerbell flies into shot. Oh, there you are, Tink. She covers Walt in fairy dust. Hey, get that stuff off of me. You know, a little sprinkling of fairy dust can make you fly. Pamela can't help but be drawn in for a tiny moment, and then just as quickly narrows her mistrusting eyes at Walt and switches it off.
Off. That's how we deal with you.
Exterior suite, Beverly Hills Hotel. A tray of untouched dinner sits outside the door. Interior suite, Beverly Hills Hotel, night. Pamela lies in bed, awake, staring at the ceiling. She shakes her head, trying to free it of whatever is trapped in there. The moonlight casts a shadow of Mickey on the wall beside her bed. Exterior, Beverly Hills Hotel, morning. Pamela waits under the hotel awning, dressed immaculately, not a hair out of place. The limo pulls up to the curb, and Pamela groans as she sees Ralph's jovially jump out of the car and rush round to open the passenger door.
Good morning, Mrs.
It's not Mrs. It's... Oh, why do I bother? We're just not going to get it right, are we?
Hmm?
Will it be the same driver every day?
Yes, ma'am. I'm all yours. Sun came out again.
You say it like you're surprised, like the sun is particular about whom it appears for. It seems you think that I am responsible for its miraculous dawning every day. For goodness sakes, it's California.
It certainly is.
He gestures for her to get in.
Madame.
Pamela grimaces. Interior limousine continuous. Pamela tucks her legs in and folds her hands into her lap. Ralph climbs into the driver's seat.
I would so much rather be accountable for the rain.
Oh, that's sad.
Sad is entirely the wrong emotion. I shan't bother explaining why. It'll simply... zip.
Okie dokie.
The rain brings life.
So does the sun.
Be quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
Ralph starts the engine and drives away. Exterior Disney Studios, Burbank, day. 3 men in suits wave at the limo as it drives through the enormous gates of the Disney's Burbank studio and pulls up in a very twee forecourt. They are Don DeGrady, 45, and the Sherman brothers, Robert, 34. He leans onto an old worn cane, and Richard, 31, who has a bright, sunny, almost cartoonish face. Don opens the car door for Pamela and puts out a hand to help her from the vehicle, but she pushes it away.
Pamela, good morning.
It is so discomforting to hear a perfect stranger use my first name, Mrs. Travers. Please.
The Shermans look at each other. Uh-oh.
I do apologize, Mrs. Travers. I am Don DeGrady, the script writer.
Co-script writer. I shall certainly be having my say, Mr. DeGrady.
Grady, wonderful. I welcome it.
If indeed we ever sign off on a script.
Bob and Dick flash each other a look. What the fuck?
Okay, so this is the rest of your team. Dick and Bob Sherman, music and lyrics. Boys, this is the one and only Mrs. P.L. Travers, creator of our beloved Mary.
Poppins.
Who else?
Mary Poppins. Never ever just Mary. A pleasure to meet you, though I fear we shan't be acquainted for too long.
Excuse me?
These books simply do not lend themselves to chirping and prancing. No, certainly not a musical. Now, where is Mr. Disney? I'd very much like to get this started and finished as briskly as is humanly possible.
Don?
Not a musical?
If you'll point me in his direction.
Yeah, we planned a little tour of the studio for Mrs. Travers.
No, thank you.
The one to show the place off?
No one likes a show off.
Pamela takes herself off takes herself off in the direction of a building.
Miss Trav, it's a long way to the other side.
Don hurries behind her. Bob looks like he's about to murder the woman, and Dick is finding the whole thing incredibly amusing. Exterior Disney Studios, Burbank, day. The Shermans, Don, and Pamela are riding through the studios on a golf buggy.
I am perfectly capable of walking.
A couple of Disney characters, Donald and Goofy, bounce up to the golf cart, waving brightly. Goofy opens his arms to Pamela for a hug, and she recoils in horror.
Shoo, go away!
The characters stop bouncing, and DeGrady gives them a nod, meaning, beat it.
Ghastly.
Bob and Dick Sherman are in shock. Interior Disney, exterior office day. Don leads Pamela into the plushy appointed outer office where Dolly, a young perky secretary, smiles brightly at her.
Would you let
Mr. Disney know I have arrived, please?
Dolly loses her smile at the terse tone, nods curtly, and picks up the phone.
Oh, hello, Dolly. It's your line, Dolly.
He said quiet.
a word of advice, Mrs. Travers, if I may?
You may. Whether I heed it or not will be another matter entirely.
Wow, it's just that he can't stand being called Mr. Disney. We're all on a first-name basis here. Dolly, is he...
We hear a man's cough before a beaming Walt Disney in the flesh appears at the end of the corridor, his arms outstretched. Well, there you are at last! Pamela gets up, smooths down her skirt, and makes her way serenely towards the man, who rushes down the corridor to greet her. Oh, my dear gal! Pamela is open-mouthed. You can't imagine how excited I am to finally meet you. Pamela doesn't know what to do with this amount of enthusiasm. She extends a formal hand before he manages to get her in an embrace.
Oh.
He squeezes her tight and lets go. Pamela struggles to compose herself, but she hasn't been that close to a man in decades.
It's an honor, Mr. Disney.
Disney winces. Walt. Now, you gotta call me Walt, you know. Mr. Disney was my old man. There's a hint of something mournful in the way he says old man. Now, come here. He links his arm through hers, much to her chagrin, and leads her to the interior office past an imposing floor-to-ceiling cabinet bursting with Academy Awards. Interior Disney interior office day. He smiles at Tommy, who mans a second desk. And Tommy, say hi to the one and only P.L. Travers.
Hi there, it's nice too.
But Pamela has already been whisked through to Disney's personal office. Interior Disney's office day. Disney's office is tastefully furnished and filled with pictures of his daughters and wife. Framed posters of his films provide splashes of color to the cream walls. Have a seat, sit down. He gestures to a comfy couch in the corner, but Pamela takes a seat in front of Walt's desk instead, glancing at the sign above it. We can make them live. Walt perches on the edge of the desk, close to her and gazing at her. You know, I can't believe it. P.L. Travers right here in my office after all these years. Almost 20 of them. 20 long years. Pamela narrows her eyes. Wish you could have seen me, Pam. As lean as a whippet I was. A racehorse. Interestingly, she doesn't pull him up on using her first name and shortening it too. But now, here you are. And look at you, I could eat you up.
That would not be appropriate.
He turns to a photo of his daughters, Diane and Sharon, to face Pamela. Now, when Diane here was about 7 years old, can I get you a drink? Coffee? Soda?
A pot of tea would be most welcome.
She was over 7 years old, and I was walking past her bedroom, and there she was in her bed reading to Sharon. And, well, they were just giggling their little socks off. Hey, Tommy, pot of tea, please, dear? You're a doll. She's a doll. Anyway, I asked them, girls, what's so funny? And Diane said to me, Mary Poppins, Daddy. Well, I have no idea what a Mary Poppins was, but then she gave me your book, and by gosh, he stands up and throws his arms in the air to emphasize his point. My imagination was caught on fire, and I mean on fire, and those embers have burned ever since, as you know, 20 years.
I do.
Yeah, and I've been asking.
Yes, 20, so you keep saying.
Pamela stops talking and waits for Walt to calm down. See, I got old asking. He sits down at his desk.
What a charming story.
About my getting old?
About your daughters.
Well, yeah, I suppose it is. Both women now. Gosh, can you believe it?
Children grow up.
Now, Pam, a man can't break a promise to his kids. No matter how long it takes to keep, no matter how long. And you might have kept me dangling all this time, but now we gotcha.
Gotcha indeed. Mr. Disney, if you have dangled, then it is at the end of a rope you have fashioned for yourself.
Pamela.
I was quite clear when you approached me the first time that she wasn't for sale, and clear again when you approached me a year later, and clearer again when you approached me every annum for the subsequent 18 years. Honestly, I feel corralled, ensnared.
Pam, the last thing I want to make you feel is...
My name, if you please, is Mrs. Travers.
See, I promised them. That's a fact. You got kids?
Not.
I have never, and I swear, never broken a promise to either one of my Disney girls.
Well, that's very honorable of you, sir, but
that's what being a daddy's all about, right?
Is it?
This movie isn't just going to make kids happy. It's going to make all kids happy. It's gonna, yeah, not just my kids, all kids. See, you see, my guys are going to do things with it that are, well, they're revolutionary. Revolutionary, Pam.
Oh, dear.
Pamela rubs her temples as she watches him fly about the room. And Mary Poppins will literally fly off the pages of your book. The door opens and Tommy comes in with tea. Walt gestures for her to bring it to him. Now, imagine this magical woman who has only lived in your head. You'll be able to meet her, speak to her, hear her sing. Tommy places the tray on Walt's desk and leaves the room. Walt picks up the teapot.
Yes, this singing, I'm glad you've come to that. Oh, milk first.
Walt puts the pot down immediately like a scolded child and picks up the milk jug. He pours.
That's right. Now the tea.
He picks up the pot again and pours the tea.
And a spoonful of sugar.
He stirs.
You don't mean for this film to be a musical?
I absolutely do. He presents her with the cup.
No.
No?
No.
She takes a sip, and he waits anxiously to see if his tea is any good.
Oh, well, shoot. I was going to try and get my cup over here, but there's things in the way. Just kidding. Not bad. No, Mr. Disney. Mary Poppins does not sing.
Oh, yes, she does.
When?
It's in your book.
Those aren't songs, they're recitations. She is not just a giddy woman. She does not jig. Singing is frivolous and wholly unnecessary for a governess, an educatress. No, it would just ruin it.
Walt is baffled. He takes a sip of tea. It's disgusting, and he spits it back into his cup surreptitiously, then coughs loudly. Pamela's jaw drops.
I won't have her turned into one of your silly cartoons.
Walt takes a sharp breath at silly and then plasters a smile back on. Tell you what, you just listen to what my Sherman boys have come up with, and if they don't knock your socks off, then I'm the King of England. Pamela rolls her eyes.
If you're the King of England, then you shan't exist, and knowing the little of you that I do, I shouldn't think you would like that very much.
Bet you would. She smirks, as does he.
I do quite like Greensleeves.
Greensleeves, huh?
Come to think of it, that's a song I wouldn't object to.
Greensleeves.
Yes.
He's not sure if she's playing with him. Pam, I want you to know the last thing I would do, the very last thing, is tarnish a story that I have cherished. He moves closer to her, takes her hand. She needs it for her teacup. It's awkward. The pages are worn down to tissue. Dog-eared and fallen out. I have pored over them, gripped and tormented, because I love Mary Poppins. You got to share her with me. Pamela is torn between finding Disney captivating and totally barking. Of course, nothing happens without your say-so. Absolutely nothing.
Quite right.
She extricates her hand. It's all in the rights agreement, as approved by your agent, Dermot.
Dermot.
Disney hands the rights agreement and a pen to her. Pamela takes it without looking and folds it up.
A live-action film, no animation.
Live action.
I'd like that on tape. Your promise, and all the discussions we have here, on tape.
Tape, you say? Mm-hmm. She pops the rights document into her bag. Walt's joviality, his bright demeanor, vanishes in a split second.
Ah, there you are. Mary Poppins and the Bankses. They're family to me.
I understand. I do.
Well then.
She stands up and smooths down her skirt.
Shall we begin?
He holds out his hand for her to shake. Let's make something wonderful. She leaves his hand hanging in midair.
Let's see if that's at all possible.
Pamela gets up, smooths down her skirt, snorts at the picture of Disney in a stilly hat astride a model train, and purposefully strides out of the room, a smile across her face that Disney does not see. Whoa. Damn. Exterior veranda, dusk. Travers sits looking out at the dimming sky, playing a mournful air on his tin whistle. Ginty is curled up in his lap, Andrew the dog asleep beside him. Margaret steps out onto the veranda, an almost imperceptible glance at the half-empty bottle at his feet.
It's rather late.
Travers continues to play.
Biddy and Moya are already asleep.
Travers takes the pipe from his lip and sighs.
Ginty.
He kisses her cheek and gently lifts her from his lap.
Good night, Father. Night, Mother.
Good night, dear.
Creepy. Margaret strokes her hand over Ginty's hair as the little girl slips into the house, but hovers unseen by the door, watching her parents. Travers pats his knee, and Margaret perches on it.
I'll make us a good life. I promise. I'll make you proud again.
Margaret strokes Travers' face again and turns her face to the sky.
Look at the stars.
Interior rehearsal room, day. Pamela sits at the large meeting table as Dolly bustles around her, placing refreshments. Pamela lays out her pencils one by one, makes sure her notebook is just so. A bowl of fruit is set down on her notebook, and she snatches it away, glaring at the table, which is now laden with every type of snack and beverage imaginable, from bagels to candy, coffee to soda. There are exotic fruits, enormous bouquets of flowers.
What is all this jollification?
We have a whole script to get through. It's gonna be a long day, Mrs. T.
She shoots him a dead with a killer stare.
Travers.
We could save a starving country with benefaction from this room alone. Ooh, it's so vulgar.
She gets up and moves the giant bouquet of flowers off the table and plops it on top of Dick's piano. Bob moves it from the piano to the floor.
That is a very expensive piano.
And these are beautiful blooms butchered for our visual and nasal enjoyment when we could have just as easily gone to the window, looked out, and gazed upon them happily minding their own business and still very much alive.
Bob hasn't a clue what to say. Pamela smooths down her skirt and retakes her seat. Everybody waits. Pamela flicks her eyes at the tape recorder, which Dawn duly turns on.
Ah, let us begin.
She perches her glasses on her nose and raises an eyebrow at the cover of the script. Walt Disney's Mary Poppins. A rustling of papers and one or two uneasy glances at the men, as they too open their scripts.
Scene 1. Ext. Ext? What's ext?
Scene 1, exterior Cherry Tree Lane.
Bitch.
Dick and Bob covered their faces with the embarrassment of it all.
Exterior means the scene is taking place outside.
Ah, I see now. An abbreviation. Scene 1. Exterior. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. DeGrady. Did you feel you should?
No, Mrs. Travers. Please go ahead.
Yes, I do think it's best. See, you know you didn't read your line at the right time, and I've the most practice. Readings of my books, you know. Anyway, Scene 1. Exterior, 17 Cherry Tree Lane, London, day. Yes,
she nods.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's good. That can stay.
That's just the scene heading.
Though I do think we should say number 17 instead of just 17. Yes, it's more proper.
No
one's going to see it.
I will see it.
She makes a note in her script and looks to the others, who are dumbstruck.
Write it down, chop, chop.
Dom makes the note and is ready to move on, but Pamela is staring at Dick and Bob. They dutifully pick up their pencils and note their scripts too.
Is that on the tape?
Don glances towards the swirling tape recorder and nods.
Yes.
Good. Onwards.
They are interrupted by Dolly carrying a new tray of refreshments.
Dolly, so I will say, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Is this a joke?
Excuse me?
Do you think you are a comedian?
I'm sorry, I really don't understand.
Dolly gingerly places the tray on the table and hovers, distributing fruit and biscuits within reachable distance.
Unbelievable.
Pamela shakes her head and decides to ignore Dolly and carry on.
Scene 1, exterior number 17 Cherry Tree Lane, London, day. But a one-man band. The rumor is that this is to be your Mr. Van Dyke, is it?
We do hope so.
We'll see about that. He's totally wrong. Totally and utterly.
Dick is one of the greats.
Dick Van Dyke? Robert, my dear. Olivier is one of the greats. Burton, Guinness, greats without question. I can assure you, Dick Van Dyke is not. But a one-man band plays to a small gathering outside the gates to the park. Bert says, "You can do Bert."
Thank you. All right, ladies and gents, comical poem suitable for the occasion.
Dick jumps up and sits at the piano.
Extemporized and thought up before your very eyes. All right, here we go.
Dick begins to play and sing. He pounds the keys with gusto, smiling away, acting it out with all his heart and soul, almost unable to contain himself with glee. Bob occasionally joins in for a word or two, but is much more serious, eyeing Travers for her every reaction.
Room here for everyone, gather around. The constable's responsible. How does that sound?
No.
Dolly winces on everyone's behalf and leaves the room.
Responsible is not a word.
We made it up.
Well, unmake it up.
Dick quickly hides the next set of sheet music entitled Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Very nicely said. I've a thought. I've always liked Ta-ra-ra boom da. Now that would be a wonderful song for the film. Oh, and Admiral Boom could sing it. Do you see?
Dick's fingers crunch the piano keys. Exterior suite, Beverly Hills Hotel, evening. Pamela's door opens a crack and another half-eaten room service meal appears as she kicks it into the hallway. She shuts the door quickly behind her. Interior suite, Beverly Hills Hotel. Pamela lies awake, staring at the ceiling.
Irresponsible.
Exterior field, near Goff House Day. Close on, a tiny park about half a meter square. It has grass, tiny trees made from flowers, a small hole filled with water for a pond, a park benches made with twigs, and a miniature wooden clothing pegged people. Ginty sees the finishing touches to the bandstand and sits back, staring in wonder. The moment is broken with the sound of hooves as her father appears atop his horse.
Ah, there's my girl.
The horse moves up to her.
That's it, Albert. Give Ginty a smooch. There's a good boy. Give her a little smooch.
The velvety muzzle of the horse smooches Ginty's neck and ear as Travers climbs down from the nag.
Poor old Albert. It's your secret uncle, you know, but a miserable, horrid witch turned him into a nag.
Why did she do that?
Because she hated the sound of his laugh.
Poor Uncle Albert. How can we fix him?
We have to teach the witch how to be happy again.
How?
I'm not quite sure, darling. Your mother's been calling for a good hour. I shouldn't go if I were you. She's after little slaves for housework. I must scrub and bake and sweep till the stars are beginning to blink and peep, and the young lie long and dream in their bed of matching of ribbons for bosom and head.
Travers sighs, lets the word ring in his ears, touches the end of his daughter's nose.
Do you want to know what it feels like to fly, Ginty?
She nods. He hauls himself onto Albert, leans back and swings Ginty up so she is facing him.
You trust me?
She nods and wraps her arms around him, looking backwards over his shoulders. He grips her firmly around the waist, and she spreads her arms.
Get up, Albert, yeah!
Travers kicks the horse into a trot and then into a canter. He points a finger into the air as if shooting up for the stars.
Yeah, take it easy, sweetheart.
Ginty squeals with delight. Interior limousine morning. Pamela looks out of the window at the palm trees and the empty sidewalks. She looks dazed, extremely tired.
Ooh, nobody walks.
Usually strolls a gift.
Exterior Laurel Canyon, morning. The limo floats away from the windy canyon roads, cresting the top of the hill and revealing an awe-inspiring vista.
Beautiful, ain't it?
If you like that sort of thing.
I do.
Exterior field, Allura, day. Travers and Ginty gallop at top speed, the horse kicking up such great clouds of earth as they hurtle away into the distance. Interior rehearsal room, day. Don DeGrady and the Shermans are escorting Pamela along a row of storyboard illustrations for the film. Dolly trundles along behind, carrying a tray with a cup of tea on it, which Pamela occasionally picks up and takes a sip from.
We do find it helps to have a visual. It's fun.
She stops in front of a sketch of the Banks house.
No, 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 no. Goodness, no.
No?
Damn it, Mike Wazowski. Get into your spot. All right, anyway, yes, the Banks house doesn't look like that. My house is a terraced house with a pink door, white bricked, with a crack in the gable. The window frames are lead-lined, and the flower boxes grow pink nasturtiums to go with the pink door, and... Did we get that? Oh, dear, it's a big mistake. It's all wrong.
It's all wrong?
It's too grand. The Banks family, they're normal, everyday sort of people. This isn't normal. It isn't everyday. They're not aristocrats.
Interesting.
Dawn allows a tiny smile. She is right. Pamela lingers over a picture of the parrot head umbrella, a split second of something like recognition on her face, and she simply moves on.
Oh, do I even have to say it?
Yeah?
Why in the world have you made Mrs. Banks a silly suffragette?
Wonder if Emmeline P. would agree with that adjective.
Quite possibly, looking back.
Dick mouths, "Oh my God."
It does seem strange that Mrs. Banks allows her children to spend all of their time with the nanny when she has no job to speak of. And
Are you calling Mrs. Banks neglectful?
Yep.
No, of course not. We just felt that if she had a job, it would go some way to explain.
Being a mother is a job, a very difficult job, and one that not everybody is up to, that not everybody should have taken on in the first place.
The boys see that Pamela is talking about something meaningful to her, and they begin to soften for a brief moment, until...
I will not have her called Cynthia. Absolutely not. It's very unlucky.
Dick makes a curly-whirly cuckoo sign at Bob.
Oh, that is me. Jesus, I forgot about this line. No, it should be something warm. A bit sexy.
They all nearly choke at the word sexy coming out of her mouth.
How about Mavis?
Bible?
Sure.
Sybil. Sybil.
Sybil?
Prudence?
Gwendolyn.
Great.
Winifred.
I could go with Winifred.
Yes, that's because it's very good.
She comes up to the next sketch and stops abruptly in front of it, a split second of utter confusion across her face.
This isn't Mr. Banks.
She turns to face Dawn and the boys.
This isn't him.
Yeah, that's him.
He has a set of mustaches.
In the books, he...
I told the illustrator... Shut up, then. I didn't like the facial hair, but she chose to ignore me. This is my film, and this time I shall have my way.
Mrs. Travers, it was a specific request from Walt.
Pamela doesn't acknowledge that Dolly has spoken. Dolly flushes.
Why?
Everyone shrugs. They don't know why.
He didn't. He doesn't. Mr. Banks is clean-shaven.
Bob buries his face in his hands and lets out a long, unashamed moan.
Does it matter?
Bob.
Pamela stares at Bob.
You can wait outside.
She points at the door, ordering him out with a finger. Bob is literally stunned. Dick stifles a laugh.
I shan't say it again, Robert.
Bob
Out.
storms out of the room as fast as his limp and cane will allow him, slamming the door, and from behind it we hear,
Kill me now.
Wrong-timed bite, I assume. What is wrong with his leg?
He got shot.
Hardly surprising.
Pamela smiles sweetly.
Can I expect any more drama from anyone else?
Interior bar lobby, Beverly Hills Hotel, late afternoon. Pamela enters the lobby and heads for the elevator. She spies the bar, full of people laughing, exclaiming, enjoying each other's company. She takes it in melancholy for a second, and then jabs the elevator button repeatedly, relieved when the doors finally slide open. Interior Goff House washroom, Allura, morning. Travers faces his reflection in the mirror as Ginty looks on from the doorway. He picks up his razor and begins to scrape away the stubble.
Why do you do that?
For you, my dear. Swish. Which kind of kisses do you prefer, Gedemina? Swish. Scratchy ones or silky ones?
Silky ones. A man must shave for to spare his daughter's cheeks. Swish.
Interior Beverly Hills Hotel suite, morning. Pamela stares at herself in the clouded bathroom mirror. She runs a finger along the steam in the glass.
Swish.
And again.
Swoosh.
Interior Disney Studios corridor, day. Dolly, carrying a tray of cakes, stopped at the rehearsal room door where fracas voices ring out.
Stop, stop, stop. What on earth are you talking about? Oh, whatever the infernal thing is.
It's something to say when you don't know what to say.
Well, I always know what to say.
The slamming of a piano lid. Dolly pushes the door open with her foot.
If you so much as step 1 foot in here with that tray, I shall scream. One cannot live on cake alone.
Interior Disney's office, day. Dolly stands in Disney's office. Yeah, hit me with it.
She has a lot of ideas
Yeah, what kind of ideas?
about how she sees things.
And just how does she see things? Dolly sighs and pulls out a notepad.
The name Cynthia has been changed to Winifred.
Okay, that'll work.
She won't approve Dick Van Dyke.
Walt laughs. Dolly allows herself a little giggle, too.
Yeah, funny. The sketches of the Banks house make it look too opulent. There must be no hint of romance between Mary Poppins and Bert. She wants to know why Mr. Banks has been given a mustache.
Yeah, I asked for that.
Yes, they did tell her, but she wants to know why.
Because I asked for it.
Right, of course. The tape measure Mary Poppins uses to record Jane and Michael's height must be a roll tape, not a ruler. We must add gravitites, she says.
Gravitas? Gosh.
Gravitas.
Anything else?
Sorry, Mr. Disney.
Walt.
Walt. Yeah, sorry. Ooh. She only wants green vegetables and broth. I don't know what this is, but she wants it in the room from now on. And she wants the color red in the film at all.
Interior rehearsal room, day. Dick, Don, and Pamela sit around the meeting table. Bob hovers by the door with the right humph. Disney prefers to stand, gazing occasionally from a bowl of candy.
I've simply gone off the color.
Their mouths are agape.
You did say I was to have final say, did you not?
We can't make the film without the color red. It's set in London, for Pete's sake.
And?
There's buses and mailboxes and guards' uniforms. Heck, the British flag. Pamela, I'm not sure why you're...
I understand your predicament, Mr. Disney. I do. I don't know what it is. I'm just suddenly very anti-red. I shan't be wearing it ever again.
Disney comes and sits on the table in front of Pam and locks eyes with her. Is it test, Pam? Are you requiring proof of how badly I want to make you happy so that we can create this beautiful thing together? Pamela averts her eyes for a split second, embarrassed about creating something beautiful with Walt, but quickly recovers and eyeballs him right back.
I took you at your word, Mr. Disney, and it seems my first stipulation has been denied. There will be many more, so perhaps we should just call it quits and I should hand you back these.
She takes the rights agreement out of her bag and offers it back to him. Walt smiles at Pamela. All right, no red in the film. Pamela glances at the tape recorder.
What?
Walt?
Don and the Shermans can't believe he's given in. Disney strides out of the room. Interior Disney Studios corridor continuous. Disney marches around the corridor away from the rehearsal room. He stops, turns, goes back to the door, and puts his hand on the handle, stops himself, and moves on. Interior rehearsal room continuous. Dick, Don, and Bob are left astonished. They look at one another.
He doesn't have the rights?
All three turn their heads to turn to her.
Quite.
Pamela smiles in a broad, satisfied smile at the boys, smooths down her skirt, and opens the script.
Now, if you're insisting upon this musicality you feel is so important for my film, then I suggest I hear one of your ditties.
No one is in the mood to sing for her.
I shall keep an open mind.
Nanny?
Yeah, do Nanny.
Dick begins to play.
Wanted. A nanny for two adorable children.
Pamela sighs. So do Don and Bob.
If you want this choice position,
No, they
have
can't
a
make demands.
cheery disposition.
But Dick ignores her and carries on.
Have a cheery disposition, rosy cheeks,
No warts.
Who in the world put that in?
play games, all sorts. You must be kind, you must be witty, very sweet and fairly pretty.
Well, of all the ridiculous,
Take us on outings, give
completely
us
defeats the
treats.
point.
Bob and Don are trying to stop themselves from laughing as Dick barrels right over everything Pamela says, almost as if the two of them are doing a duet.
Sing songs, bring sweets.
No sweets.
Never be cross or cruel.
Who would
Never give us castor oil.
Who would give
Or
a child
who-
castor oil?
Dick grimaces, a la Michael Banks.
Love us as a son and daughter.
And never smell of barley water.
That's
What in the world does
it.
smelling of barley water have anything to do with anything?
You wrote the book. She wrote the book.
Yeah, I think she did write the book.
If you won't scold or dominate,
You
us,
can't say
we will
that.
never give you cause to hate us.
Hate is too strong of a word.
We won't hide your spectacles so you can't see.
Nobody's
toads
listening
in
to
your
me.
bed or pepper in your tea.
Ridiculous. No.
Hurry, Nanny. Many thanks, sincerely. Jane and Michael Banks. Jane and Michael Banks.
Well, I simply don't know what to say. That's the worst song I have ever heard. Ever.
All right.
Interior Disney's office, late afternoon. Walt stands looking out of his window. From Disney's POV, Pamela sits on a bench, her feet tucked together, her arms clasped around her body, her face to the sky. She sits perfectly still until the limo pulls up and Ralph gets out, patiently waiting beside the car so as not to disturb her. Pamela opens her eyes and Ralph nods hello. He opens the back door for her and she climbs in. Hey, Tommy. Tommy appears in his office with a glass and holds it to Walt.
Scotch mist.
What do you think?
What do I think what?
You're a woman.
That's a canny observation, Walt.
What am I missing?
You think the female of the species has some kind of psychic insight when it comes to others of her kind?
Walt continues to stare out the window.
We don't. You'll get yourself an ulcer with all that unriddling. Give it up.
Tommy waits for a response, but he's still window-bound, filled with intrigue as he watches the car disappear. That woman. Interior, bar, lobby, Beverly Hills Hotel, late afternoon. Pamela enters the lobby and heads for the elevator. She spies the bar again, a few people chatting over cocktails. The elevator door opens, but she chooses to go and sit at the bar instead.
Good afternoon, ma'am. What can I fix you?
A pot of tea.
Sure thing.
Pamela looks around at the other women in the bar, all glamorous, coiffed, very different from the practical Mrs. Travers. The teapot arrives.
Thank you. Tea is a balm for the soul, don't you agree?
But the barman has already moved on to another patron. Time moves swiftly, the teapot is drained, the customers come and go. The barman talks to another customer further along the bar. Nobody notices Pamela. In this setting, she looks like a little old lady, awkwardly perched on a stool, staring into her empty cup. Exterior, Bell Hatchet Bank of Australia, Allura, day. Ginty, in a rather tattered school uniform, is diminutive in front of a huge set of double doors to the bank. An upright, top-hatted gentleman holds the door to the bank open chivalrously for her. Interior, Bell Hatchet Bank of Australia, Allura, continuous. Ginty and the man enter the bank.
Thank you.
The bank worker tips his hat to the gentleman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bell Hatchet.
Cashiers look up from their posts and nod courteously. Ginty and Randolph Bell Hatchet are startled for a second by a loud crash. Their eyes flit to a glass door of Travers's office. The etching on the glass reads, Travers Goff, bank manager. Interior, Travers' office, day. Travers has just dropped, purposefully, a tray of coins to the floor. He has a wild edge to him. He may well have been drinking.
Bell Hatchet! Bell Hatchet! Ha! It's a ridiculous moniker!
Sir.
And Bell Hatchet has complained that I opened his stupid bank 5 minutes late, has he? Ha ha ha! Time's money, Doc, you know. There's money, my man.
The clerk laughs nervously.
Bell Hatchet? Beautiful Hatchet. That's what it means. And I suppose if the poor dumb lambs on his downs are 5 minutes late to their calving, or they don't drop dead on schedule when he wants a roast, or he makes them with the business end of his beautiful hatchet.
Travers wields a glinting letter opener to the air, stabbing piles of papers, filing cabinets, desks.
There, whack! They'll teach you for not dropping your lands on schedule. Whack, whack, whack!
Travers looks at the figure standing outside his door, and his eyes widen.
Whack, whoop! Mr. Bell Hatchet, allow me to...
Travers pushes the door open to reveal Ginty at his side and is felled.
Ginty.
I want you gone.
All eyes fall upon the little girl, whom everyone seems to have forgotten. Travers is overcome with embarrassment and guilt.
Sweet thing, what are you doing here?
Ginty looks up at Bell Hatchet and the manager.
You said today was...
Ice cream day. Oh, yes, I did. Godfather, am I?
Are you fired again?
Oh, yes. It does seem that.
You're muted.
No, sweetheart. He isn't.
Just wait in my office for a second, darling.
Randolph walks away, stopping to whisper in Travers' ear.
If you can't straighten up for your own sake, do it for your daughter. Irresponsible.
Travers holds out his arm to Ginty, and she runs into him.
Ice cream is so rare because it only comes from Siberian cows. Did you know that?
Exterior, river, Allura, day. Ginty and Travers sit by the river. Ginty eats an enormous ice cream, and Travers sips continuously from his hip flask.
We share a Celtic soul, you and I. This world is just an illusion. Ginty, old girl. As long as we hold that thought dear, they can't break us. Money, money, money. Don't you buy into it? Don't you buy into it, Ginty? I buy to you on the bot. How did we end up here, eh? Look at it, barren, breathless. Get as far away from this place as possible, my love. Find yourself a patch of green. It's Chimera, you know. The world, the bank, you and I, Mr. Randolph Wackety Whack, Bell Hatchet. Can't even say his name correctly. All the illusion.
He stares across the river, experiencing a wave of deep melancholy. Ginty looks up at him, aware of his profound unhappiness, but unable to understand its source. Exterior suite, Beverly Hills Hotel, night. Another untouched meal in the hallway. Interior suite, Beverly Hills Hotel, night. Pamela lies in the dark, the phone pressed to her ear.
I loathe this place, Mr. Russell. How can a place so sunny be so cold?
We can't hear what Dearman says.
I meant heartless. I'm afraid a jumper wouldn't suffice. It's bringing up these... It's so hot and stuffy, I feel like I'm being attacked. These odd dreams, like in my subconscious, is after me. It's just punishing me for entertaining the idea that I might hand her over. I am at war with myself, Mr. Russell. The script is ghastly, exactly as I expected. Yes, a few more days and then I'll decide. I know I need the money. The money, the money. Money, it'll bite you on the... It's all an illusion, you know, Mr. Russell. All an illusion. Very well. Good morning and good night.
She hangs up the phone and continues sitting upright, wide awake, staring into the darkness. Pamela checks through her multitude of pill bottles for something to help her. Nothing. She groans as she dragged herself out of bed, pacing the room, counting steps.
Serves me right. Money, money, money. Bit me on the butt.
Her eyes stray to the big Mickey Mouse. She drags it onto the bed with her and climbs back under the covers, clinging onto the stuffed toy for comfort. Interior rehearsal room, morning. The room is decidedly more lively, with sketches of the cast and models of the sets all around the place. And of course, the requisite abundance of brightly colored food now accompanied by some healthier options. Vegetables and a fluorescent-looking soup. Bob and Dick are at the piano. Don sits in the corner, sketching energetically on his pad with what seems to be a cartoon sketch of Pamela Travers.
It's got to be like a slogan.
A prescription for life.
Yeah, yes, a stitch in time.
An apple a day.
I'm in tide. Wait for...
Sugar.
Sugar? What? That's not...
Jeff had vaccination day at school yesterday.
Ouch.
No ouch.
No, ouch.
Sugar. They put it in a cube.
Medicine in sugar?
Cube's an odd word. Spoonful.
Dick throws his hands and legs in the air, almost falling off of his stool.
Ah, we have sugar.
Exterior Disney Studios, Burbank, morning. Pamela steps out of her car, and Walt is there to greet her. Hey, may I walk with you?
I'm sure your country doesn't have any laws about sharing a pavement.
As they walk, the sound of the piano filters out of the rehearsal room window and down into the lot. Interior rehearsal room, morning. Dick is playing about with a verse.
Go back to the chorus.
Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Wait. She always does what's unexpected. She goes up the banisters.
Dick is confused.
So go up.
Dick plays a high note.
Try B.
He takes the pencil from behind his ear and marks Dick's sheet music. Dick immediately begins finding the tune on the piano.
Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Don looks up from his sketching.
Yes!
The sound of Walt's cough signals his imminent arrival.
Anne is in the forest.
Pamela and Walt enter the room.
I want you to hear this. Play him what you got.
Walt takes a seat beside the piano. Pamela folds her arms across her chest defiantly.
It's just a chorus.
Tell us what you think. He knows. Will help.
Bob whistles what will end up being Robin's part of the song.
Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. The medicine go down. Medicine go down. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Da-dee-da.
We'll work out the other lyrics.
You see how it goes up on the word down?
On the word down, it goes up.
Up.
It's ironic, but that was
Is
very
it?
good.
Forget ironic. It's iconic. Pamela rolls her eyes.
Bravo.
I won't be able to stop singing that for weeks.
It seems enormously patronizing to me. The very sort of annoying tune you could have playing in your themed park, I dare say. All giddy and carefree, encouraging children to face the world unarmed. All they need is a spoon and some sugar and a brain full of fluff, and they're equipped with life's tools. Wonderful.
Dick is completely deflated. What's your point, Pam?
Mrs. Travers, my point is that, unlike yourself, Mary Poppins is the very enemy of sentiment and whimsy. She is truthful. She doesn't sugarcoat the darkness in the world that these children will eventually come to know. She prepares them for it. She deals in honesty. One must clean one's room. It won't magically do it itself.
She waves the script in the air.
This whole script is flim-flam. Where is its reality? Where is its heart? Where is the gravitas?
She opens the window and slings the script out.
No, wait, Mr. Disney. See?
Dick, Don, and Bob look out the window as the pages flutter downward and spread themselves over the Disney lot. No whimsy or sentiment, says the woman who sends a flying nanny with a talking umbrella to save the children.
You think Mary Poppins is saving the children, Mr. Disney?
Pamela sighs, shakes her head.
Oh dear.
Exterior, Disney Studios, late afternoon. Pamela makes her way to the bench she waits on for Ralph. She sits down, wraps her arms around herself, and closes her eyes.
It goes up.
Cool. Exterior, back paddock, Allura, day. Margaret sweats as she hangs out laundry while desperately shushing her screaming infant.
Damn it,
Well,
Mom.
yes, darling, they're there. Shush, shush now.
Inti and Biddy run in and out of the sheets, chasing a large hen that squawks and flaps its wings, trying to escape the girls.
If you could just...
Ahoy, Gops!
The girls and Margaret look up, surprised to see Travers so early.
Father!
She runs at him and he swings her high into the air with one arm, catching Biddy with the other.
I could have stopped thinking about my beautiful girls on this beautiful day in this beautiful place. I have thought to hell with it. And what do we say about beauty, ladies?
A thing of beauty is a joy forever.
Lovely surprise to...
Nope. Smaller
Oh.
word, Travis.
Oh, I'm sorry. I completely fucked... Oh, but?
What's on for goats, my love, you idiot?
He dips her and smooches her.
Ugh,
Ah,
Mom fucking it up again.
Wow,
I'll put
I
an
call you
extra
my
hour
daughter.
tomorrow. What are we playing? Shut up, Travis.
The hen got out and we've been trying to catch her.
Travers spies the clucking demon.
That's no hen. That's Aunt Ellie, your mother's different sister.
That's a made-up word.
really?
Not the ant. Quick, catch her before she flies away on the east wind.
Travers throws his jacket to the ground and begins to chase the hen, tearing through the clean sheets and treading them to the ground.
Oh.
I'll wash them again, my love.
Margaret looks at the dirty sheets and shrugs. The kids run after their father, squealing and giggling as the poor little hen runs for its life. Even the dog joins in. Margaret goes to retrieve the discarded jacket and sees a whiskey bottle protruding from the inside pocket. She slips it back inside. Out of sight, out of mind.
Go, Sergeant Ginty! Bury the beast!
Ginty dives at the helpless bird who pecks her soundly and scarpers. It's chaos. Travers, the girls, the dog, and the evasive hen running into each other, falling over each other, cursing and laughing.
Aunt Ellie!
She's a foul.
Interior, Travers' bedroom, the children's bedroom, evening. Biddy and Moya sleep, but Ginty is awake, the hen snuggling firmly in her arms. She can hear the tense voices of her parents.
Darling, it's just that I'm a little concerned.
Sweet, I had a throat scratch.
The bank is getting you down again. Perhaps my sister will...
God, no, I couldn't do. I wouldn't do. For the girl's sake, just please, not.
Oh, my dear.
Travers weeps and Ginty crosses her eyes, buries her little face in the hen's feathers.
Foul.
Interior, sweet Beverly Hills sweet night. Pamela sits up in bed, leaning back into the open arms of Mickey Mouse. Ice cream, then hand cream. Her face is screwed into a twist of unhappiness. Exterior, Disney Studios, Burbank, night. Disney sits on Pamela's bench, deep in contemplation. Piano music tinkles from somewhere in the building, and then a voice.
All around the cathedral, the saints and apostles look down as she sells her wares.
Walt is dragged from his thoughts and gets up to follow the sound.
Although you can't see it, you know they are smiling each time someone shows that he cares.
Interior, Disney Studios, Burbank. Walt walks through the music room, visibly moved by the song, a cough rattling in his throat. Interior, rehearsal room, night. Also in lamplight, Dick Sherman sits at the piano, Bob asleep on a couch in the corner. Walt pushes the door open. Dick knows he's there, but keeps tinkling away.
Though her words are simple and few, listen, listen, she's calling to you. Feed the birds, tuppence a bag, tuppence, tuppence, tuppence a bag.
That'll work. Dick nods, still playing. Walt makes his way to the piano, sighs, sits next to Dick on the stool. She's gonna say no, isn't she? Woman's a conundrum. Dick stops playing and flicks to a new page of sheet music.
A man has dreams of walking with giants, to carve his niche in the edifice of time. Before the mortar of his zeal has a chance to congeal, the cup is dashed from his lips, the flame is snuffed a-borning, he's brought to rack and ruin in his prime.
Walt laughs out loud. He sings with Dick reading the lyrics from his sheet music.
My world was calm, well ordered, exemplary. Then came this person with chaos in her wake. And now my life's ambitions go with one fell blow. It's quite a bitter pill to take.
Inspired by someone we know?
You'd have to ask Bob.
And smile. Bittersweet.
She might be surprised us all.
She won't.
You don't know that.
I do. I know it. I know it only too well. I fought this battle from her side. But Pat Powers, he wanted the mouse, and I didn't have a bean back then. Dick raised his eyebrows. See, he was this big, terrifying New York producer, and I was just a kid from Missouri with a sketch of Mickey, but it would have killed me to give him up. Walt peers down at the sleeping Bob. Honest to God, killed me. That mouse, he's family. Let's go home. Walt leaves the room. Exterior, Beverly Hills Hotel, pool, night. Pamela sits at the pool, arms clasped around her, looking at the stars. The pink and green of the pool shimmers in the water, making it look like a chalk painting.
The world is an illusion, Ginty.
Interior Goff House, Allura, late afternoon. Ginty sits in the front step of the porch, arms clasped around her body, face to the sky. The sounds of the evenings close in. Crickets, the last deafening chorus of birds. Travers walks up the path to their home, trailing his suit jacket over his shoulder, his shirt and tie loosened. His shirt sleeves are marked with sweat. His face is a study of something close to despair. He looks up to see Pamela sitting on the front step and immediately arranges his features into a bright smile of greeting.
Ah, the Countess Mary Sparklestick. Pray tell me, what are you concentrating so hard on?
I'm laying eggs.
Really? Fabulous.
Today, I am a hen.
Indeed. And I can see the feathers sprouting as we speak.
Margaret steps out on the veranda, takes one look at her husband, and knows he's drunk.
Helen Goff, would you lay the table for supper, please?
I'm not Helen.
She can't possibly lay a table. She's busy laying eggs. She's laying!
I'm sorry.
She goes back indoors and slams the door behind her. Ginty gets up to go indoors, and Travers catches her by the arm. He swallows hard, eyes welling.
Don't you ever stop dreaming, Ginty, my love. You can be anyone you want to be. Anyone.
I want to be like you.
Don't leave yourself always searching for something.
He coughs to stop a crying Jag and leaves her alone on the porch. Ginty is unnerved by her Travers' demeanor. She creeps around to the side of the house where she watches her father appear in the window of the washroom. She doesn't know what to do as he leans his head against the wall and breaks down sobbing. Interior limo morning. Ralph watches Pamela in his rear view. She seems weak, the steely fight flown away to the east wind. Her arms wrapped around her chest, her face turned to the window.
You all right, Mrs.?
Pamela doesn't even hear him. Interior Elora school afternoon. Ginty stares out the window in a daydream, a paintbrush in her hand, dripping color down her arm. She is nudged to the present by her teacher, Mrs. Corey.
Wake up, dear. You want your banner to be ready for the fair, don't you?
Ginty turns back to her painting. Her banner reads, Elora Fair. Around the words, Ginty is painting a gorgeous carousel with stunning horses, one of which is white with roses in its bridle. Interior fairgrounds, Elora Day. Margaret, Biddy, and Ginty walk into the fairground. Tents are erected, farmers show off their sheep, children clutch sticks of cotton candy, and the carousel spins with one stunning white horse amongst the drearier others, rose upon its bridle.
Mrs. Brosett, father's presenting the medals.
He's indeed on behalf of the bank.
Interior rehearsal room morning. Pamela stares out the window, not really concentrating on what's going on in the room.
Mrs. Travers?
Again, she doesn't hear.
Mrs. Travers.
Pamela looks at Don.
We're just saying that we'd like to play you the song In the Bank. Would that be good?
Pamela nods, non-committal.
So you have tuppence. May I be permitted to see it? No, I want to feed it to the birds. Fiddlesticks, boy. Feed the birds. And what have you got?
Fat birds. But if you invest your tuppence wisely in the bank.
Exterior fairground, Elora Day.
Safe and sound.
Small stage and dais stand central to the event over a large sign which reads, sponsored by the Bell Hatchett Bank of Australia.
Soon that tuppence safely invested in the bank will compound.
The Elora townsfolk are out in force. Ginty walks in with her family, her father attempting to memorize speech notes as they pass through the crowds.
And you'll achieve that sense of conquest.
Margaret nudges him as Randolph Bell Hatchett and his family walk past. Randolph looks at Travers, then at Travers shaking hands. His family nod and move on. Margaret looks upset by this.
As your affluence expands.
Travers buys 2 immense sticks of fairy floss and hands them to Ginty and Biddy.
Travers, Biddy's stomach.
For God's sake, Meg, stop winning like an old hag, will you?
Margaret is aghast at being spoken to like that in public, but she keeps her mouth shut. Ginty notices Travers' eyes stray towards the refreshment tent.
Father, will you ride the carousel with me?
But the refreshment tent has Travers in its grip.
You're there in a blink of an eye.
Interior rehearsal room day, as before.
In the hands of thy directors, who invest as propriety demands.
Exterior fairgrounds, Elora Day. Ginty stands with her family at the carousel, eyeing the refreshment tent.
On, Biddy.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm getting so old. I'll take Biddy to get ready for her dance. Where's your father, son?
Margaret sees the direction of Ginty's gaze. Her face falls, but she takes Biddy by the hand and heads for the stage.
As I was saying, come on, Biddy.
Interior refreshment tent day. Ginty appears in the tent's entrance. On first glance, she sees only an unidentified group of local drinkers. Relief begins to dawn as she turns away. It is then that she hears Travers laugh and turns back to see the group part, revealing Travers at its center.
Indeed, a polished poet.
She takes a deep breath and moves forward, grabs Travers' hand.
Father, come and look. Biddy's dancing.
In a moment, my princess. I'm talking. Back in Ireland, I miss her green hills, so...
But she really wants you to watch, Dad. You'll miss it.
Not now, Biddy.
I'm Ginty.
Ginty, shoo.
Devastated, Ginty doesn't know what to do. She pulls at his shirt sleeve again.
You said don't give up.
A waiter approaches and takes her by the arm, leading her away.
Excuse me, miss. It's gentlemen only in this section of the tent. I think you'll be more comfortable at the far end. Are you all right, sweetheart?
I'm scared my father is.
Despairing, she looks up and sees her mother carrying Moya in the entrance. Her mother's face falls and crumples. Exterior fairground Allura continuous. Travers steps heavily, one at a time, up the steps to the dais and finds his way to the speaker's podium. Margaret and Ginty watch, hearts in mouths, Biddy blissfully unaware.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests. Our biggest supporter, Mr. Randolph Belhatchet, and his lovely wife, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Randolph looks at Travers with displeasure and then at one of the bank staff.
Why is he speaking for the bank?
He's the manager.
I'm honored to be here on behalf of the Belhatchet Bank of Australia. Surely it would be my very pleasant duty to present the awards to our young performers. But before I begin, I'd like to say very few words of their younger citizens about the role of the bank of community.
Ginty allows herself to breathe. So far, so good.
Very. He's always saying very too much when he's...
She can't say it. Ginty takes her mother's hand, but Margaret pushes her hand away. Interior rehearsal room continuous. Pamela turns away from Dawn and the Shermans and takes herself to look at the sketch of Mr. Banks, pinned to the wall. He still has a mustache.
Very well, my boy. Give me the money. No, I won't. I wanted to feed the birds. Banks? Yes, sir. Now, Michael. Yes, sir. Now, Michael.
Sorry, friends.
Oh, good, my friend.
I lost my script.
Bottom of 72.
No, I literally lost it. It like disappeared.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry, friends. It literally just vanished.
Where's a dick when you need one?
I hope
I know. Wait a minute. You're still recording, sir.
it doesn't vanish like my tuppence in the bank.
Oh my god, shut up,
Sorry.
Travis.
Yeah, there's a setup for that.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yep, we're good. All right. When you deposit tuppence in a bank account, soon you will see, I forget how this goes actually, but it blooms into credit of a generous amount semi-annually.
Exterior fairground Allura continuous. Travers is now in lip sync with Dick Sherman.
And you'll
You
achieve
that
sense of stature
as your
influence
expands to
expands
the high
to
financial
the high
strata.
financial strata that
established
established
credit
credit
now
now commands.
Interior rehearsal room continuous. Donna's up and singing with the boys. They are enjoying themselves so much that they don't notice Pamela's eyes well slightly.
You can
Purchase
first and second trust deeds. Think of the
foreclosures,
foreclosures,
bonds,
bonds, chattels, dividends, shares.
Exterior fairground Allura continuous, as before.
Bankruptcies, debtor sales, opportunities, all manner of private enterprise, shipyards, the mercantile, collieries, tanneries, incorporations, amalgamations, banks.
Interior rehearsal room continuous, as before.
While stand the banks of England, England stands.
Exterior fairground Allura continuous. There's a smattering of applause. Travers is encouraged. Margaret and Ginty look relieved, even hopeful. But then Travers momentarily looks lost. A slight breeze tugs the speech notes from his hand, and they float down to the front of the dais.
Thank you kindly. Thanking you. Now, what am I doing next? Oh, it's a marvelous idea to encourage children to open accounts. My daughter, the Princess Ginty, she's, how old are you? Come here.
Ginty. What, me? Ginty glances at her mother and then on trembling legs makes her way forward and up the stairs onto the dais. Margaret watches, growing uneasy.
Ginty has a bank account, and that's good. Give her a drink.
The audience is shocked.
I'm gonna give her a hand.
Everyone is beginning to look uncomfortable.
I shall return in just a moment to present awards, but right now, I must relieve myself.
Asked from the audience. Margaret, dying.
Give us your shoulder, Ginty. Ready? I'm busting. Let's go.
Father and daughter walk towards the edge of the stage, Travers leaning on Ginty's shoulders, the shameful glare of Allura burning into them.
When the fall of the banks of England, England falls.
Travers somehow loses his footing before reaching the steps and topples off the stage. There's an audible, horrible snap as he lands in an undignified pile. But despite his ugly injury, Travers cannot stop laughing. Interior rehearsal room continuous. The boys are laughing, congratulating one another.
I love it.
You think Walt's gonna like it?
Pamela takes a last look at Mr. Banks' picture and spins around viciously.
Why did you have to make him so cruel?
The boy's jubilance is halted immediately.
He was not a monster.
Who are you talking about? I'm confused.
You all have children, yes?
Yes.
Yep.
And do those children write you letters? Make drawings for you?
Of course.
Might like to make folded paper.
And would you tear up those gifts in front of them?
Silence. They know where this is going.
It's a dreadful thing to do. I don't understand. Why must father tear up the advertisement his children have written and throw it in the fireplace? Why won't he mend their kites? Why have you made him so unspeakably awful? For all the world to see in glorious technicolor. You claim to make them live. If that happens, can't he? Can't they at least live well?
Pamela chokes back a sudden rush of distress.
I can't bear it. Please don't.
The boys are shocked at the level of upset.
Please don't. I'll feel like I let him down again.
She leaves the room, head hung. Interior Travers' bedroom, Goff House day. Travers is in bed, his leg elevated and set with plaster. He is shaking badly with DTs. His mood is poisonous. Ginty sits at the edge of the bed as the doctor packs up his bag.
I don't suppose there's any more you can give me for the pain.
The doctor shakes his head as Travers wanton greed for more.
When will enough be enough, Travers?
I brought you something, Father.
Be a darling Ginty, my old pal. Help your father out, will you, won't you?
Ginty is wary.
In my washroom, there's a bottle of medicine that father needs.
Mother took it away.
Travers slams his fist on the bed, scaring Ginty.
God damn it!
Nervous, hopeful, Ginty withdraws a folded sheet of paper from her pocket.
Oh, fuck. My little unicorn cup is in the way. Oh, bitch. There we go. Here we are. I wrote a poem for you. It won first prize at school.
Travers takes the page, tries to hold it steady in his shaking hand.
Would you like me to read it to you?
The agony as Ginty watches the shaking hand. Finally, the humiliation is too much for Travers. He scans the page rapidly and lowers his hand.
It's hardly eats, is it?
Ginty is devastated. But more than this, there's a hardening in her small face, a sense of disillusionment that so far she's held in check. There's the first signs of the Pamela to come. Interior Disney Studios, Burbank Day. Pamela rushes from the rehearsal room down the corridor, her face twisted, desperately trying to maintain composure. Don rushes out after her.
Mrs. Travers.
He stops, recognizing she doesn't need to be followed. Interior kitchen, Goff House Day. Ginty rummages through kitchen cabinets, drawers, and trash, but doesn't find what she's looking for. Exterior Disney Studios, Burbank Day. Pamela rushes past Minnie Mouse and Donald Duck through the lot, past Ralph, who's taking his lunch at the cafeteria, and towards a patch of green, a communal lawn at the back of the soundstage. Exterior Goff House Day. Ginty fights the smell of warm rubbish in the midday sun as she ransacks the outdoor trash cans, finally finding what it is she's looking for. Exterior grass area, Disney Studios, Burbank Day. Pamela flops on the ground, digging her fingers into the dirt and lawn. Interior Travers bedroom, Goff House Day. Ginty creeps into her father's room. He sleeps fitfully, and she presses a half-full bottle into his hand, covering both hand and bottle with his bed covers before leaving the room. Exterior grass area, Disney Studios, Burbank Day. Pamela picks a daisy, finds a stray twig, and arranges them in the grass.
Mrs.?
Pamela looks up. Her eyes are red-rimmed, but she's not crying.
I brought you a tea.
He hands her the tea in a takeaway cup.
It's blasphemy to drink tea from a paper cup.
Ralph shifts nervously from foot to foot. He's not quite sure what to say to her or why he brought the tea. Pamela puts the tea down and continues to fiddle with bits and pieces of twig and bloom that she's plucked from the area around her.
Everything okay, ma'am? Would you like me to drive you home?
All the way to England? Yes, please.
Ralph lowers himself onto his haunches.
You got family back there, Mrs.?
You're an impertinent man, you know. You ask an awful lot of questions that have no relevance to you being able to carry out your duties.
I know. I do that. Yes.
And you have no barometer.
Ralph is confused.
Let us say that I haven't family who notice whether I was halfway across the world or sitting in my living room.
She pulls a thread from the hem of her skirt, ties two twigs together.
Ma'am,
Ralph sees that she has a little collection of things. He looks around for more. Pamela takes a stick and digs a small line through the grass, then hands it to him.
Make a little furrow. There.
Ralph dutifully does what he's told, looking over his shoulder for fear that he's going to be caught digging holes on Disney soil. Ralph pokes the ground, thinking.
I got a kid.
Well, most people do.
Jane. She's got all kinds of troubles.
Pamela raises an eyebrow.
Handicapped, you know. Myelitis. Transverse. She's in a wheelchair, see? That's why I concern myself with the weather. Sunny day, she can sit out in the garden. Rainy day, I have to leave her cooped up inside. Worry about the future, but then I stop because you can't do that. Only today.
Pamela takes the plastic lid off of the paper cup and pokes holes in it.
Now look.
She takes the lid, twigs now sticking out of the poked holes, and places it in the center of what we now see is one of Pamela's tiny parks. She gently rests a leaf on the twig struts, forming a roof.
It's a bandstand.
She takes the cup of tea and gently pours the steaming liquid into Ralph's trench, which runs all the way around the park.
A river.
Lake.
Lake. Hey, I wish I could take her there.
He points at the miniature park.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Interior, Ginty, Biddy, and Moya's bedroom, night. Ginty, Biddy, and Moya sleep soundly, Ginty clutching the poem to her chest. The door creeps open and Margaret stands in the shadows looking at her children, tears streaming down her face. She seems calm. Something has crossed over in her eyes. There's just nothing there.
I know you gave it to him. All the hope is in the bottom of that bottle, Helen.
Mother?
I want you to take care of the children.
Ginty is groggy. She doesn't understand.
Watch over them.
Ginty sits up.
I know you love your father more, but one day you'll understand.
What?
Margaret leaves the room and Ginty is straight out of bed following her. Behind, in the room, Moya has awoken and is crying. Exterior Goff House, Allura, night. Ginty runs out onto the porch where she sees her mother in her white nightdress striding purposefully through the garden like some ethereal ghost.
Mother!
She runs out to the yard but stops as she hears Biddy.
Ginty!
Ginty turns back to the house and then back towards her mother, but Margaret has disappeared into the darkness.
Mother! Mother!
The baby is screaming now. Interior, Ginty, Biddy, and Moya's bedroom, night. Ginty wrenches the eider-down off of the bed and wraps Biddy in it, and she scoops Moya up from the crib.
Where's Mom?
Once upon a time, there were 3 little girls alone in a house. They were frightened of the big wide world just outside the door.
She takes them to the hallway, stopping momentarily outside the door of her father's bedroom. It is slightly ajar, and he looks incredibly frail and delirious.
They were so afraid.
She moves forward, her eyes flit to the front door, expecting her mother to be standing there any minute, but there is nothing. Exterior creek, night. The mud-stained hem of Margaret's nightdress sweeps along the ground as her feet move towards and then into the water of the creek. 1 step, 2, 3, the water coming up over her ankles, soaking the nightgown.
But the stars were guarding them. They glittered as they spoke. We shall send a guide to show them the way to the magical ladder which will bring them all the way up to see us.
Exterior living room, Goff House, night. Biddy and Moya are calming as Ginty places the girls in front of the fireplace.
And who do you think those sparkling messengers sent? Who was it that came flying through the starry, starry sky to carry us up to see them?
Ginty wraps Moya in a blanket and puts her in Biddy's arms.
An elf?
Exterior porch, Goff House, night. Ginty begins to untie Albert from the fence, still speaking to the girls through the window.
Their old Uncle Albert, of course. Stay right here. Be good.
Ginty climbs atop the horse.
Are you going to the sky?
I'm going to find the end of a story so I can bring it back to you.
Is it happy?
In exterior paddock, night. Ginty rides fast, desperately searching the darkness for her mother and turning back frequently to check if the lamp still burns on the porch. Exterior creek, night. Margaret is up to her neck in the freezing water of the creek, shivering cold. She wills herself forward into the water. She wants to sink down and simply float away. From behind her comes the clip-clopping of hooves. Margaret turns her head, and there, atop the horse, is Ginty. Margaret begins to weep. Ginty jumps down from the horse and rushes to her mother, wading into the water to grab a hold of her. Ginty bobs up and down in front of her mother in the deep water.
Sometimes a person we love, through no fault of his own, can't see past the end of his nose.
It's time to go home, Ma.
She reaches out her hand. Interior suite, evening. Pamela looks through the stack of books intently, jotting something down on a piece, Beverly Hills Hotel stationery every now and then. Presently, the phone rings. Pamela almost jumps out of her skin. She rushes to grab it.
Mrs. Travers. Hello?
Interior Disney's office, Burbank, evening. Walt sits at his desk, flicking through cartoon drawings of penguins. Pam! Intercut with the phone calls as necessary.
Mr. Disney.
Calling to check up on you.
Are you a doctor?
In the air and off with your head. Please, I beg of you, please, call me Walt.
Walt.
I heard things didn't go so well today.
They went as well as they've gone every other day that I've been here. I don't recall special phone calls from you on any of those other
What's
evenings.
this all about, Pam? Really? I'm wondering what I have to do to make you happy. Are you wondering that too? You know, you've never been to Disneyland. It's the happiest place on earth. Hey, Tommy, cancel my morning tomorrow. I'm going to take a ride with my favorite author. Any excuse.
I cannot tell you how uninterested, no, positively sickened I am at the thought of going to see your dollar printing machine, Mr. Walter.
She notices Mickey's innocent eyes staring at her and gently turns his face away. Oh, come on. When does anybody get to go to Disneyland with Walt Disney himself?
Disappointments are to the soul what the thunderstorm is to the air.
Walt slams the phone down. Pamela stares at it in shock.
Hello? Hello? He hung up. I can't believe he hung up.
Walt leans back into his chair and grins. Tommy enters. I'm not a violent man, Tommy, but if Miss P.L. Travers were to get hit by a large truck, Interior rehearsal room, day. Dick, Bob, and Don are drained. They stare at each other in silence. Just the look tells you how much this all means to them. It's desperate. Walt flings the door to the room open. Okay, boys, gotta fix this. Interior Goff house, Travers' bedroom, Allura morning. Ginty sits beside her father. He's restless and sweating in his sleep, and she wipes his face with a damp sponge. The sound of the buggy pulling up outside breaks the silence.
Oh my.
Then a new voice, clear as a crystal bell.
Margaret, my poor child, I simply had to come. We must fix this.
Travers' eyes spring wide open in horror.
Can't.
Interior Goff house, Allura morning. A parrot-headed umbrella hangs in the back of a chair. An enormous carpet bag, similar to the one Pamela carries, plunked on the living room table, and there beside it, upright, imposing, and matronly, is Aunt Ellie herself. Hair scraped back, hands neatly perched atop inside her apron pocket. A very different version, but Mary Poppins all the same. Ginty looks up in awed silence as Ellie begins to remove an endless supply of belongings from her bag.
Now I've brought every newfangled treatment available in Sydney.
Biddy is open-mouthed.
Close your mouth, please, Biddy. We are not a codfish. I spy a multitude of jobs to be done.
So worried.
Do stop babbling nonsense. I'm here now, and I shall fix everything. Girls, feverfew and chamomile to lower his body temperature, garlic, sorrel sage, deadly nightshade, and if those don't work, well, I shouldn't like to say.
Young Pamela and Biddy look on in a kind of bewildered trance as item after item emerges from the carpet bag.
Tincture of horseradish, laudanum. I thought I had made it quite clear you were to begin helping.
Ellie claps her hands together.
Smithpot.
Interior limousine morning. Ralph drives along solemnly. Pamela looks out of the window, confused.
Where are we? This isn't the way.
Change of venue this morning, apparently.
Ugh.
I was thinking about our tea party
I'm sure I don't know what you're talking.
yesterday, the little park.
Little Park, I haven't a clue what you're talking about.
But
Concentrate on the road, always chitter-chattering.
Exterior Disneyland entrance day. Ralph drives Pamela up to the entrance of the park. Two security guards stop the car briefly, and then the gates pull open to reveal Walt Disney waiting for Pamela. Interior car continuous. Ralph is goggle-eyed at seeing Walt.
oh, isn't that nice? Holy mackerel. Wowzers. Never met him myself, but there he is, right there. Real, living, breathing. Oh boy.
Exterior Disneyland day. Ralph jumps out of the car to let his passenger out, but Disney is there first. Now, welcome to the Magic Kingdom. Pamela steps out of the car, and her eyes nearly pop out of her head with the brightness of the place. Unbelievable color and excitement.
Is it
Pamela
all
pops
like
a headache
this?
pill. Yep. Isn't it wonderful? Ralph hovers at the car, filling his eyeballs with as much Walt Disney as he can before he has to drive away.
Do you always get everything you want, Walter?
Pretty much.
With the exception to the rights to my books, of course.
No war ain't over yet, Pam. Walt takes Pamela by the arm and leads her through the gates, and a murmur goes through the crowds as they gawp. A young woman breaks free and rushes up to Walt.
I know exactly whose line this is.
I love you so much. Can I?
She proffers a pen and paper,
Wasn't mine.
but
either.
Walt is prepared. He takes a signed postcard from with his face on it from his top pocket, hands it to the woman.
Pre-signed?
Hey, you should get hers too. This woman's a bona fide genius. The woman looks expectantly at Pam, who just snorts. She realizes she's getting nothing and, clutching her precious postcard to her chest, melts back into the crowd, who part like the Red Sea for Walt and his guests. Exterior Main Street, Disneyland continuous. Walt and Pamela make their way down Main Street. Walt stops anyone from getting too close by immediately handing out postcards to anyone who gets near. See, now at Adventureland, there's a treat. This is a fun fact, a tidbit.
I'm sorry, did you say tidbit?
Yeah, it was 3 million. It has 3 million leaves, 4 million flowers.
Gosh.
And they said there's a protracted silence as they walk, both encompassed by their own thoughts. The sunshine, the joyful crowds are just background color. They pass by a storefront, and Walt glances up to the window. It reads, Elias Disney, contractor, established 1895. Pamela notices the look, but doesn't say anything. So where'd she come from?
Who?
I think you know who.
She flew in through the window one day.
Through the window, huh? Pam nods curtly. It's just that easy, isn't it, Mrs. Travers? He sees right through her. I know you don't want to be here, so I'm going to take you on one ride, my favorite amusement, and then I'll set you free. Way ahead of them is a carousel that spins in the distance. Exterior, King Arthur's Carousel, Disneyland Day. The carousel slows to a halt, and a herd of excited children climb down from the horses and disappear into the park. Mrs. Travers, I would be honored if you would ride Jingles. She's Mrs. Disney's favorite horse. He escorts Pamela to a beautiful white horse.
No, thank you. I'm happy to watch.
No greater joy than that seen through the eyes of a child. Pamela looks at the children climbing onto the carousel. So there's a child in us all.
Maybe in you, Mr. Disney, but certainly not I.
Get on the horse, Pamela.
Jesus.
Pamela sighs and allows Walt to help her get onto the horse. See, when we first met, you said to me, they're family.
I said what?
Mary Poppins, the Bankses, they're family. See, the boys, they had an idea for you, Mr. Banks. I think it'll make you happy.
You brought me all the way out here to tell me that.
No, I brought you all the way out here for monetary gain. Had a wager with the boys that I couldn't get you on a ride. I win. He clambers onto his own horse, gestures to the ride controller, and off they go. Pamela gently bobs up and down. Walt waves to her, and she sees the unbridled thrill from the child in Mr. Disney's spilling out. The tiniest of smiles threatens to surface on her lips, and she points a finger to the air as if shooting for the stars. Yeah! Interior, Travers' bedroom, Allura Day. Travers has a violent coughing fit. He looks into his hand, disturbed to see blood there. He grimaces at Ellie, who has her back to him as she folds clothes, a look of deep satisfaction on her face.
Well begun is half done.
His face softens as his hazy gaze falls upon Ginty, outside the window, sweeping. Their eyes meet for a brief moment, an unspoken understanding of what is to come before his close with tiredness. Interior rehearsal room Day. All the tables have been pushed to the walls. Don is just pushing the last one away as Pamela comes in, followed by Dolly with a tray carrying Pamela's tea.
Morning, Mrs. Travers.
She looks at the new arrangement of the room.
What horrors have you in store for my beautiful characters today,
Bob clenches a fist, but Dick gives him a look that says, keep calm.
Now, Mrs. Travers, you sit here.
He ushers her to a chair facing the center of the room. He hands pages to Bob and pages to Dolly. Don and Dolly drop to their knees so that they are half the height of Bob. Pamela raises an eyebrow.
We thought about what you said, Mrs. Travers, and Mr. Banks isn't cruel. He isn't... We've got a new ending for the film. Oh, God, I hope you like it.
Bob pulls a kite out from behind his back.
Michael says he mended it. It's wonderful. However did you manage it?
He mended it?
Dick strikes a chord on the piano.
With tuppence for paper and strings, you can have your own set of wings. With your feet on the ground, you're a bird in flight, with your fist holding tight to the string of your kite. Oh.
Bob takes the hands of Don and Dolly and he dances around with them awkwardly as they are still on their knees, and Bob has a limp. Pamela's eyes are on the fixed kite.
Let's go fly a kite up to the highest height. Let's go fly a kite and send it soaring up through the atmosphere, up where the air is clear. Oh, let's go fly a kite.
Don notices Pamela's foot tapping. He stands up.
You are a treasure, And then Mrs. Banks goes to fetch her suffragettes. Excuse me, suffragettes ribbon. I'm sorry, this song I love that. As proper kite needs a proper tail, don't you think?
Don drops to his knees again.
Let's go fly a kite up to the highest height.
Is Pamela humming too?
Let's go fly a kite. It's soaring.
Don bows to Pamela, puts his hand out for her, and to his surprise, she accepts and they begin to waltz. Pamela is surprisingly elegant and accomplished.
Crying her eyeballs out.
Through the atmosphere, up where the air is clear. Oh, let's go fly a kite.
Everybody is up and dancing. It's like something out of a Disney movie.
When you send it flying up there, all at once you're lighter than air.
Dolly breaks away and rushes from the room.
You can dance on the breeze over houses and trees.
Interior Disney outer office day. Dolly pants her way to the top of the stairs and sees Walt just about to enter his office.
Mr. Disney, Walt.
Walt spins around.
I'm sorry to interrupt. It's just she's dancing. Mrs. Travers, she's dancing with Don.
He cracks a great big smile.
With your fist holding tight to the string of your kite.
Interior rehearsal room day, as before.
Oh, let's go fly a kite up to the highest height. Let's go fly a kite and send it soaring up through the atmosphere, up where the air is clear. Oh, let's go fly a kite.
They all collapse in a heap, exhausted and thrilled.
Well?
Yes, he fixes the kite. Oh, I love it.
Dick punches the air.
Though proper English would be, let us go and fly a kite.
Bob glares at her.
But I might be willing to overlook it.
Do we get that on tape?
Everybody sighs with relief, and Pamela looks to the caricature of Mr. Banks with deep warmth. Interior Travers' bedroom, Goff House evening. Ginty sits with her father. He's a shadow of his former self, extremely ill. The shaking has stopped. His lips are parched and bluish.
Okay. Oh, ship shape.
Travers reaches up with a shaking hand and musses up Ginty's perfectly plaited hair.
I rewrote the poem, Father.
Travers doesn't respond. Ginty reaches into her pocket and takes out tuppence.
The aunt gave me tuppence.
She shows it to him in her open palm.
Shall I buy you something, Father?
Pass.
Interior suite, Beverly Hills suite night. Pamela sits bolt upright in bed, panicked.
Father?
Exterior Goff House, Allura day. Ginty skips off the porch, clutching her tuppence, chattering to herself about pears. Exterior Laurel Canyon morning. The limo crests the top of the hill. Interior limo morning. Ralph admires the view as he always does.
Do you know, you're quite right. It is beautiful. Exquisite.
It's always new.
Interior rehearsal room day. Pamela leans on the piano, peering at her script. The boys are dotted about the room. All are mid-work.
So, jolly holidays in.
As you wish.
Pamela is genuinely curious.
Now, how in the world does Mr. Disney propose to train penguins to dance?
Are you serious?
I've heard about his implausibly leaved trees, so I assume he does have some insane penguin wrangling scheme, but it does seem rather far-fetched. Can you train penguins?
Penguin. No, I don't think you can train an actual penguin.
They're animated.
Pamela is confounded.
I'm sorry?
Cartoons.
He draws a little squiggly in the air to illustrate his point. Pamela's face turns beetroot red. She pushes herself away from the table and storms out of the room, slamming the door behind her.
What? Are we getting real penguins?
Interior Disney, outer office day. Pamela comes storming into the office suite. Dolly smiles up from her desk.
Good afternoon, Mrs.
Where is Mr. Disney?
Oh, if you'd like to take a seat.
I would not like to take a seat. Thank you. I would like to.
She heads for Disney's office, and Dolly is up and running after her down the corridor.
Mrs. Travers, please.
Pamela blows past Tommy's desk.
Disney!
Interior Walt's office, day. Pamela pushes open Walt's doors, catching him in the midst of signing a stack of postcards of his grinning face, an unlit cigarette in his pen hand.
Walt, I am so sorry.
Oh, don't worry, Tommy. Please, close the door. Look, I never let anybody see me smoke, and I'd hate for it to encourage bad habits. Look, just please, sit down.
I shall not sit in the seat of a trickster, a fraudster, a sneak.
But Pamela.
Mrs. Travers, please.
Mrs. Travers, what in the world has you so upset?
Penguins!
Walt is confused.
Penguins have very much upset me, Mr. Disney. Animated, dancing penguins. Now, you have seduced me with the music, Mr. Disney. Yes, you have. Those Sherman boys have quite turned my head. But I shall not be moved on the matter of cartoons. Not 1 inch, sir.
It's a sequence.
You promised me. You promised me that this film would not be an animation.
And it isn't.
So they're real penguins.
No, they're animated.
Oh. You foolish old woman.
Pamela reaches into her purse and pulls out the assignment of rights papers and leaves them on the table.
Good day, Mr. Disney.
She turns on her heel and leaves. Disney stares at the pages aghast. Pamela, Mrs. Travers, but wait! Interior Disney outer office day. Pamela flies past Dolly's desk.
Yes, I'm so in a hurry. Please, call my driver and have him pick me up.
Yes, ma'am, when?
Now!
Exterior Disney Studios day. Pamela flees to her bench, wrapping her arms around herself. Disney comes after her. Look, please, Mrs. Travers, you must listen.
You shouldn't make promises you can't keep, especially to children. They hold on to them, you see. And those promises, they just sit there inside of them, like little doses of poison. All those broken promises, eating away forever.
Pamela, I don't understand why this is so hard for you. Look, please just make me understand.
The books weren't written for the children. They were written for the promise breakers.
The promise breakers? Look, Mrs. Travers, But she's gone, face to the sky, eyes closed, breathing. Mrs. Travers? Ralph pulls up and gets into the car.
Whoa, Mr. Disney.
Hi.
Hi. I'm such a huge fan. It's such an honor to...
He suddenly sees that Pamela is more deeply entrenched in herself than usual. His priority becomes her.
Excuse me.
Ralph moves past Walt and gently taps Pamela on the shoulder. She opens her eyes, relieved to see him.
You ready to go, Mrs.?
Yes, thank you.
Hey, Pamela.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Disney, to have put everyone to so much trouble.
You must reconsider. You must.
I simply can't give her up. Not yet. Perhaps not ever. I don't know why.
You do know why.
I can't. Goodbye, Mr. Disney.
She gets into the car and Disney puts a hand to stop her, but Ralph blocks it.
The lady's ready to go now, sir.
Walt steps away and Ralph closes the door to the car. Walt watches the car disappear, racked with frustration and confusion. He takes a seat on Pamela's bench and wraps his arms around himself and looks to the sky. Exterior LAX day. Ralph climbs out of the limo and opens the back door for Pamela. He gestures for a valet to come and take her bags and opens the trunk of the car.
It's been a pleasure driving you, Mrs.
No one likes a fibber.
I really have enjoyed it. Didn't know who you were at first, and then guess what?
You found out.
I was telling my daughter all about my day and how I was driving this nice rider lady, Mrs. Travers, for Mr. Disney, and she makes me go to her bedroom And get this, she can't stop reading it. I'm very slow, mind you.
Pamela smiles.
Would you like me to sign it?
Would you?
I'd be honored.
Ralph hands her his pen and she begins to write.
Your daughter's name?
Jane.
Really?
Uh-huh, like the girl in the book.
To Jane and her dearest father. I have just this instant realized that I don't know your name.
Ralph.
She shakes his hand.
Pamela.
Pamela.
You're the only American I have ever liked, Ralph.
Ralph is chuffed to bits.
May I ask why?
No. Now take this.
She hands him a piece of Beverly Hills Hotel stationery with her notes on it.
Albert Einstein, Van Gogh, Roosevelt, Frida Kahlo. What is this?
They all had difficulties. Jane can do anything that anyone else can do. Do you understand?
Ralph looks at her in awe.
Look at the bottom.
Walt Disney.
Deficiencies in concentration and hyperactive behavior. Explains everything.
Pamela turns to leave.
Thank you, Mrs.
Pamela doesn't look back. Interior Disney outer office, late afternoon. Tommy and Dolly silence their gossiping as a tired and broken Walt Disney appears in front of them. She gone? Tommy looks down at her paperwork and nods at Walt apologetically.
Flight left 10 minutes ago.
Tommy hands him the itinerary and he glares at it. Pamela Goff? Who's Helen Goff?
Her. That's her real name.
Walt is confused.
Yeah, didn't you know she's all huddy-toddy, British this and British that, and tea this, and she's really an Aussie called Helen Goff. Stuck up.
Well, then who's Travers? Tom and Dolly look at each other and shrug. I've been talking to the wrong person. Exterior Goff house day. Ginty skips up the path, clutching a brown paper bag. She ruffles Andrew's fur before entering the house. Interior Goff house day. Ginty senses something wrong. She hears hushed, urgent, and emotional voices in the hall. She pokes her head into the hallway. There, huddled together, whispering, are her mother, the doctor, and Aunt Ellie. Ellie is holding a pile of blood-stained sheets. Ginty stands frozen, trying to still the panicked breathing of her heart, or the beating of her heart. Margaret spies Ginty and moves towards her as if in slow motion. There are flecks of blood on her dress. She's ashen, shattered. She comes down to Ginty's level.
Daddy?
Yeah, Ginty cannot react. Margaret sweeps her into her arms and Ginty drops the brown paper bag. It tears and scatters pears all over the floor. Ginty's eyes fix on Aunt Ellie's umbrella in the back of the chair, drawn to its beady black eyes.
I want to see my father.
Mustn't.
I want to see him.
Suddenly, she turns into a wildcat, lashing, thrashing, biting, and screaming. Nothing will stop her from seeing Travers.
Let her go, Margaret.
Margaret is forced to let go, and Ginty runs for her father's bedroom. Interior Travers' bedroom day. Ginty stands in the bedroom a long way from the bed. She stands there, it seems, for an eternity. Then, finally, step by step, she draws closer. The empty bottle on the floor, the sheets twisted, still wet with sweat, flecked and spotted with blood. The front of her father's nightdress is also bloodstained. Ginty's eyes reach his face. Travers lies, eyes open, mouth open, teeth slightly red-stained, neither peaceful nor distressed, just nothing.
I dropped the pears.
She perches on the edge of the bed and takes his hand.
I'm sorry, Daddy.
Ellie appears in the doorway. Ginty addresses her without turning around.
You promised you would fix everything.
Exterior Shawfield Street, London, day. A black London taxi pulls up outside of a house. Pamela climbs out of the car, struggling to pull her huge Mickey Mouse out too. Interior Shawfield Street, London, day. Pamela moves to the vestibule, lugging her suitcase.
Hello, house.
Interior Pamela's living room, night. Pamela sits in a chair in the living room, watching in darkness. She gently closes her eyes, ringing with sadness and a lifetime's despair. There's a small knock at the door, and she jolts awake. She doesn't know how long she's been asleep, but it's black outside. She gets up and rushes to the door quickly as her feet will take her. It swings open.
Oh, dear God.
Standing on the doorstep is Walt Disney. Pamela is quite literally speechless. See, it was one heck of a job getting us in on the very next flight, let me tell you.
But you always get what you want eventually, isn't that right, Walter?
He looks down at her hand, clenched into a fist and shaking. How about you show me how to make one of those nice English pots of tea? Interior Pamela's drawing room night. Pamela sits at a table as Disney carries in a tray with a teapot, a milk jug, a sugar bowl, and 2 cups. These he places on the table and proceeds to pour tea.
Milk. The milk goes in first.
He attends to it. I remember.
And whiskey. I'll have whiskey in mine. Get it, Pamela?
Whiskey follows her gesture to the whiskey decanter. He takes it, or she takes it from him and pours a generous slug into her teacup. Oh. Well, when in Rome. He pours a slug into his tea too.
You've come to change my mind, to beat me into submission.
No. I've come because you misjudged me.
How do I misjudge you?
You look at me and you see some kind of Hollywood King Midas. You think I've built an empire and that I want to use your Mary Poppins as just another brick in my kingdom. You think I see her with a carpet bag full of greenbacks.
And don't you?
If that was all it was, would I have pursued a cranky, stubborn dame like you for 20 years? I'd have saved myself an ulcer. No, you expect me to disappoint you, and so you made sure I did. You see, I think life disappoints you, Miss Travers. I think it's done that a lot. Maybe Mary Poppins is the one person in your life who hasn't.
Mary Poppins isn't real.
Oh, no, that's not true. She's real as she can be to my daughters and to thousands of other children, adults too. She's been there as a nighttime comfort to a heck of a lot of people.
Well, where is she when I need her? I opened the door to Mary Poppins, and who should be standing there but Walt Disney?
Oh, look, Mrs. Travers, I'm so sorry. Look, I hope this will be a magical experience for you, for all of us. But I let you down. And in doing so, I have broken a 20-year-old promise to my girls. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out why this has been so hard for you. And you see, I have my own Mr. Banks. Mine had a mustache.
Ah, not true then. Disney created man with his own, or in his own image.
But it is true that you created yourself in someone else's, yes? She doesn't answer. Walt takes a mouthful of laced tea and coughs a little. You ever been to Kansas City, Mrs. Travers? Do you know Missouri at all?
Can't say I do, and I have no plans to ever set foot on American soil again. I'm afraid I never will.
It's mighty cold there in the winters. Bitter. Walt stops talking, catches himself, looks away, and then gives in. His enthusiasm completely disappears as he's suddenly as ragged and as weary as Pamela. My dad, Elias Disney, he owned a newspaper delivery route there. 1,000 papers twice daily, morning and evening edition. See, Elias, he was a tough businessman, a save a penny everywhere you can type of fella, so he wouldn't employ any delivery boys. He just used me and my big brother, Roy. I was 8 then, 8 years old. Like I said, those winters were harsh, and old Elias didn't believe in new shoes until the old ones were worn straight through, so honestly, Mrs. Travers, the snow would be up to about here. You push through it like wading through molasses. And the cold and the wet would be seeping through your shoes, and the skin would be raw and peeling from your faces. And sometimes I'd find myself sunk down in the snow, waking up because I'd passed out for a moment. I don't know. In school, too cold to figure out an equation. And back into the snow. So by the time we got home, it'd be just getting dark, and every part of you would sting like crazy as it slowly came back to life in the warmth. My mother would feed us dinner, and then it'd be time to go out again for the evening edition. Best be quick, Walt. Best be quick, or Papa's going to show you the buckle end again, boy. Now, I don't tell you all this to make you sad, Mrs. Travers. I don't. I love my life. It's a miracle. And I love my daddy. Boy, I loved him. But there isn't a day that goes by where I don't think of that little boy in the snow and old Elias with his fist and strap, and I'm just so tired. I'm tired of remembering it that way. Aren't you tired, Mrs. Travers? We all have our tales, but don't you want to find a way to finish the story? Let it all go and have a past that isn't, or a life that isn't dictated by the past? It's not the children she comes to save. It's their father. It's your father, Travers Goff.
I don't know what you think you know about me, Walter.
You must have loved and admired him a lot to take his name. Mrs. Travers, it's all about him, isn't it? All of this. Everything. Forgiveness. It's what I learned from your books.
I don't need to forgive my father. He was a wonderful man.
No. You need to forgive Helen Goff. Life is a harsh sentence to lay down for yourself. Give her to me, Mrs. Travers. Trust me with your precious Mary Poppins. I won't disappoint you. I swear that every time a person goes into a movie house from Leicester to San Francisco, they will see George Banks being saved. They will love him and his kids, and they will weep for his cares and wring their hands when he loses his job. And when he flies the kite, they will rejoice and they will sing. In every movie house all over the world, in the eyes and the hearts of my kids and other kids and their mothers and fathers for generations to come, George Banks will be honored. George Banks will be redeemed. George Banks and all he stands for will be saved. Maybe not in life, but in imagination. Because that's what storytellers do. We restore order with imagination. We instill hope again and again and again. Trust me, Miss Travers. Let me prove it to you. I give you my word. Interior Pamela's kitchen, night. Pamela is alone. The unsigned rights papers in front of her on the table. She looks to Mickey, who occupies the chair opposite her. Her face softens under his gaze.
Enough.
Exterior animation building, 3 years later, day. Disney employees pass by a giant movie poster which reads, Mary Poppins, opening soon. Walt exits the building. He's but a few steps out the door when Tommy appears behind him.
Walt,
She hands him a sheet of paper.
invitation list for the premiere.
Is that everyone?
Not everyone.
She looks at him questioningly. Look, we'll premiere in London as well. It'll be more convenient for her. But there'll be cameras, press, interviews. I have to protect the picture.
Okay.
Walt walks away. He's lost a bit of steam. Tommy watches him go. Interior Pamela's office, day. Pamela taps away on her typewriter with gusto. She pings the return and breathes, satisfied.
I should say so too.
The doorbell rings. Voices. Pamela begins to tap again.
Mrs. Travers?
Pamela Tutts tries to carry on with her work.
Mrs. Travers?
Pamela rises from her chair, smooths down her skirt.
For goodness sake.
She rises from her chair, smooths down her skirt, and makes her way to the front door.
Please don't screech like an alley cat.
Interior Pamela's living room, day. Pamela and Dearman sit together. Pamela is quite changed. She looks younger, radiant, worry-free.
I'm so pleased to hear that, Mrs. Travers.
I should think you'll have a draft very soon. Polly, where's that tea? It's coming along marvelously.
Polly kicks the door open with her foot and plonks the tea down in front of Pamela and Dearman. She sneezes twice, doesn't bother to pour, and turns to leave.
Would you pour, please?
You're perfectly capable of doing it yourself.
Polly leaves. Pamela rolls her eyes.
She's quite the worst maid I've ever had.
So why do you keep her?
I don't know. She reminds me of me.
Dearman laughs.
Do you have a title?
Mary Poppins in the kitchen.
Wonderful. Should we start talking about the film rights?
Pamela narrows her eyes at him.
Never again.
Okay. So tell me, have you got your tiara for the premiere?
Oh, I'm not going.
Why not?
Hollywood premieres are not for old trout like me. Anyway, it's not convenient.
He hasn't invited you, has he?
Pamela doesn't reply.
Mary Poppins wouldn't stand for that.
Interior, plain day. Pamela is hot and bothered, trying to wrestle her cabin baggage into the overhead locker. The same flight attendant from the top of the film appears.
Can I help you?
I'm perfectly capable, thank you.
The flight attendant recognizes her with something akin to horror.
Suit yourself, ma'am.
I shall.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome aboard this flight to Los Angeles. Just a few announcements before we begin our taxi for takeoff.
Pamela takes the seat next to the window and looks out at the tarmac. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, opens them again, and tucks her feet tightly together. She folds her hands neatly into her lap and looks straight ahead. Interior, Disney Studios outer office day. Walt enters the outer office, walking briskly towards his own office. Morning, Dolly. Dolly opens her mouth to speak, but he's already past approaching Tommy's desk. Tommy sits, arms crossed ahead and stares, half bemused at Walt. What? Tommy nods towards his office. Pamela is sitting on a chair, back to him.
Me again.
Interior Disney office day. Walt semi-recovers as quickly as possible and enters his office. Mrs. Travers, how wonderful to see you. What brings you here to...
I'm here for my premiere.
Great!
I didn't receive an invitation, but I just assumed the American Postal Service had fallen down on the job as per usual.
I'll have a replacement sent to your hotel right away.
That's very kind, Mr. Disney. I knew you wouldn't have forgotten me.
Now, Pam, how could I?
How indeed? You did, after all, assure me that I wouldn't be disappointed.
Interior Suite Beverly Hills Hotel day. The porter lets Pamela into a room and doesn't even bother hovering for a tip. Pamela turns and it's like deja vu. The flowers, the chocolates, the champagne, the VIP invitation to the premiere of Walt Disney's Mary Poppins. And of course, the ubiquitous stuffed Mickey Mouse.
I thought I left you in London.
Exterior Beverly Hills Hotel, forecourt night. Pamela looks wonderful in a long white gown with turquoise silk gloves to her elbows and a matching wrap falling around her shoulders.
Would you call me a taxi, please?
Absolutely, ma'am.
The doorman goes to find her a cab, but in his absence, a limo drives up to the curb. Pamela doesn't dare get her hopes up, but the door swings open, and there he is, her favorite person in America.
Had a feeling a certain friend of mine might be needing me tonight.
Ralph!
She rushes to him and gives him they give each other a friendly hug.
You look like $1 million. Let's get you to your ball.
I just saw your tuxedo, Ralph. It looks fantastic!
He opens the back door for her, and she climbs in. Exterior Grauman's Chinese Theater, Hollywood night. It's spectacular. Disney's biggest Hollywood opening. Bulbs flash continuously as limo after limo pulls up to the red carpet. Ushers are dressed as English bobbies. Reporters stand at podiums in colorful suits. Penguins dance their hearts out in front of the theater. Pearly kings and queens play for the onlookers. Crowds and crowds of fans scream every time a bulb flashes, waving their autographed books and posters in the air. Each Disney character imaginable bounces up and down on the line of well-wishers, hugging them, dancing for them, signing their booklets. Hollywood Boulevard is completely shut down, and the atmosphere is like the happiest party you could ever go to. Interior limo night. Ralph takes the car slowly through the crowds. Onlookers press their faces against the windows, trying to make out who's inside. Pamela is nervous. Everyone else has something with them, but Pamela must brave the crowd alone. Exterior Grauman's Chinese Theater, Hollywood night. The limo stops at the edge of the carpet and Ralph jumps out. He brushes around to Pamela's side and helps her from the car. Immediately, a round of flashes goes off and Pamela puts her arm up to shield her eyes. It's too much.
This is your night. None of this would be possible without you.
She brings her arm down, straightens her dress, and breaks into a smile, making her way down the carpet to frantic whispers among the press and autograph hunters of, "Who is that? Is that anyone?" Pamela spots Walt, Dick Van Dyke, and Julie Andrews being interviewed together up ahead. Mickey Mouse bounces up and down the carpet and slows. He and Pamela lock eyes for a brief moment. He holds out his gloved hand. She takes it, and together they watch as a huge toy train chugs to a halt on the boulevard, and hundreds upon hundreds of colored balloons fly out of its roof and into the air. Exterior Grauman's Chinese Theater night. Pamela moves through the spangling, glittering, perfect-toothed Hollywood crowd, and no one pays any attention to her. Interior Grauman's Chinese Theater auditorium night. The auditorium is jam-packed. Pamela is seated in front of Walt Disney. Don, the Shermans, and their families are in the same row as her, Bob Sherman next to her. The lights begin to dim. The overture begins. We stay close on Pamela as the sound of the overture fade and the melody of a single tin whistle playing on one of Travers' old melody rings in her ears. We see the snippet of the film in the background. We remain on Pamela. She looks around at the faces of the audience, laughing, humming, sad, happy, and joyous. Intercut with images from Pamela's childhood and the voices of Bert and Jane. Ellie's parrot-head umbrella. You know, begging your pardon, but the one my heart goes out to is your father. The carousel horses to Alora's fair. See, there he is in the cold, heartless bank day after day, hemmed in by the mounds of cold, heartless money. The tuppence and rolling pears. I don't like to see any living thing caged up. Uncle Albert with Ginty on his back, carrying her river-soaked mother back to the house.
Father in a cage?
Ginty presses the final bottle to her father's hand. They make cages of all sizes and shapes, you know. The image of the dead Travers in his blood-stained bed. Bank-shaped, some of them, carpets and all. Dissolved to children in the audience, their little faces tilted upwards, rapt.
You won't ever leave us, will you?
Whatever would we do without you?
I shall stay until the wind changes.
And then an image from the film. George Banks walks away from us down the misty, tree-lined London street on his way to be fired from the bank. Walt Disney watches with quiet satisfaction. Pamela, however, has tears coursing down her face. Her shoulders heave as she tries desperately not to sob out loud, but people are noticing, looking at her. Disney leans forward, placing a hand on her shoulder. She reaches up and grips it tightly, unable to speak. It's all right, Mrs. Travers. It's all right. Mr. Banks is going to be all right, I promise. Pamela nods in gratitude, but cannot contain her sobs. It's all pouring from her now in one immense catharsis.
No, it's just that I can't abide cartoons.
We stay on her face as we bring up the final song of the film, Let's Go Fly a Kite. The audience around her is smiling, laughing, singing along. Pamela, the tears, silent now, still pouring down her cheeks as she slowly begins to mouth along with the lyrics. And in her head, one final image appears. Travers' gaze falls upon Ginty outside his bedroom window, sweeping. Their eyes meet for a brief moment, an unspoken understanding of what's to come before his close with tiredness.
Never. I promise you, I will never lose you.
Dissolved to exterior Mayborough Park day. The shadow of an umbrella leaves the 10-year-old Ginty sitting in the lush grass, arms wrapped tightly around her chest, face to the sky as her smile breaks free across her face.
Winds in the east, mist coming in.
The shadow of the umbrella floats higher and higher.
Like something is brewing, about to begin.
And further and further.
Can't put me finger on what lies ahead, lies in store.
We give chase but cannot catch up.
But I fear what's to happen, all happened before.
And the umbrella floats up, up, up into the atmosphere and away. Fade out. The end.
Excellent work, you guys. Logan, thank you for handling double duty. You're a great you're a great scene description. Pamela, everybody, you guys were all awesome. Thank you guys.
Pamela and the boys, you guys are amazing.
All the boys were great. Even Travis.
Even Travis.
Thank you, Jared.
Jen, you ripped my heart out.
Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.